Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Godlike Naruto and his daughter in Ruby. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Mr. Unorthodox and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Ruby Rose, 15 years old, has red-tipped black hair, a lithe and athletic figure, and was wearing a black and red outfit consisting of a red cloak, a corset, a blouse, a frilly skirt, black stockings and boots, with a belt holding large cartridges, and a magazine pouch for her transforming weapon that was currently in its compact form attached to her back, Crescent Rose. It was a high-impact sniper rifle that's able to a large side that's easily bigger than her. As she was finishing her annual visit at her mother's grave, she noticed something out of the ordinary. It wasn't the lack of grim activity that sometimes happens, no, it was the sudden darkness that overtook her surroundings, as if something was blocking the sun. There, in the big open sky, a giant rip was forming, slowly stretching, slowly becoming wider and wider until it was as wide as a giant lake. Then, as if a giant hole wasn't enough, a giant something was falling through the rip, quickly descending, falling, and when it met land, there was a resounding boom so loud and powerful that it made her stumble and fall on her bum. Though despite all of this, she remained calm. Oh my flipping gosh. What the heck is happening? Yup, perfectly calm. While she was not flipping out, the giant something was shrinking. It continued on to do so until it was the size of a tall teenager, which is exactly what it, or rather he is. He was 6 feet and 3 inches tall, with long and spiky sunny blonde hair, strange red eyes that each has 3 concentric circles, each having 3 comma-like symbols in them, a toned body build, and a peachy complexion. He also has 3 whisker marks on each cheeks, 2 long and straight horns on his forehead, and 10 silver foxtails behind him, as a reminder of his friend. He was wearing a black bodysuit with lines going along his arms and legs with a circular making over his chest, a white coat with long sleeves and a design similar to his eyes on the back, and open-toed sandals. He was Naruto Uzumaki, 17 years old, former Jinchuriki of all the tailed beasts, and current badass god, albeit a mortal one. But he's still badass. Gah! Fuck, that hurt! Naruto sweared, holding his throbbing head. Maybe he should train in his ocular abilities before he used them? Maybe after he got settled in this new place. Swear jar! Ruby yelled, but then got wide-eyed and nervous when the man looked at her. It wasn't her fault that her instinct to shout out swear jar was triggered by a stranger that she'd only seen and one that looks frighteningly powerful. Crap baskets, she was gonna die. Without even becoming a huntswoman first, too. That was the second worst way to die, right besides dying through CMDS, or cookie and milk deprivation syndrome. That was the cruelest death she could think of. Wait, what was she thinking about in the furs? Hey! You there? T-place. Right, that. Welp, she thought, time to start running for my life. And she did, quite fast too thanks to her speed semblance. Too busy fearing for her life, she didn't notice Naruto, the man's name, fly towards her. Hey, can you tell? Hey. Stop running, he began, only causing Ruby to rub even faster, which was saying something. Which wasn't a good idea on her part, because that caused him to be more determined to catch her. He was lost, in need of directions, and stubborn. So yeah? You're chasing me? How can you chase me? Why are you chasing me? Ruby screamed, startled at the fact that the horned man was unable to chase her at her top speed. I was just gonna ask for directions. Naruto yelled over the winds. Seriously, it wasn't like he was going to hurt her. Why are you even running? You fell from a rip in the sky, caused an earthquake, and made a giant crater in the ground. You're asking me why I'm running away from you? She asked, yelled back a tad rudely. Maybe I shouldn't hang much with my friends. I'm starting to pick their bad habits. She thought absent-mindedly as she ran in place. What? Before you kill me, can I at least have one request? She said in defeat. She might be dying sooner than she planned, but she refuses to die without having her family hear one last I love you from her. Kill you? Didn't you hear what I said a couple of moments ago? I was just gonna ask you for directions, sheesh. If this goes on, I'm gonna be painted as an evil god or something. Naruto said, with slight irritation lacing his tone. Honestly, first, she reprimanded him for his way of talking. Second, she ran away from him when he was just asking for help. And lastly, she was implying he was a murder-happy person. That was just plain rude. You're just asking for help? Ruby asked a tad demurely. She got a nod. Wait. You're a god, isn't it obvious? Oh right, different dimension. Yeah, I'm a god. See the horns and the eyes? Those are signs of divinity in my dimension. Those are godly symbols? She got a nod for an answer. You're from another dimension? Even from all of the fear she felt moments ago, she was a tad excited and starry-eyed. A dimension hopper? That was so cool. Duh, that rip in the sky moments ago was a portal. Wasn't that obvious enough? He thought that everybody knew that a rip in the air was the sign of a portal opening from another dimension. A god from another dimension. That's so freaking cool, Ruby mumbled to herself, until she realized something. Wait, if you're a god then why are you here? Don't you have some godly duties or something? And what god are you of? Naruto sat down and patted the ground beside him. Why don't we sit down? With only slight hesitation did she sit. Those are good questions actually, some that requires a quite lengthy. So why don't we start over? My name's Naruto Uzumaki, 17 years old, mortal god of life and death, time and space, nature, animals, chakra, ninjutsu, nishu, peace, weapons, and spirits. He didn't know why he was given the domains of life and death and weapons though. A god of weapons. That is awesome. What kind do you use often? Do you use transforming ones? It'd be so cool if it is. Can I see it? Can I? She rambled on and on, only stopping when she noticed his deadpan stare. With a sheepish look did she stop her rambling and introduced herself. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm Ruby Rose, 15 years old, and a huntswoman in training. Hey, you didn't answer why you're here. She pointed out with a frown, read, pout, an adorable pout. Well, there can't be two gods of the same title in the same place, right? See, we gods, at least the ones from my place, we look for our own place. Because the place where I'm from is like a crossroad, where no matter what, you'll always meet at least one god every century. I myself met 5 different gods, a descendant of 3, and an heir to 2, he bragged. What? It wasn't often that he bragged about his heritage and lineage. Besides, there were a couple more he didn't mention. When more than 2 gods meet, there's always conflict. So long story short, we avoid staying in our own dimension to avoid its destruction. So, questions? Yeah, how about the fact that no one's coming here to investigate the place? That? How about widespread illusion? Okay. But how can you be a mortal god? He stood up and offered her a hand. I'm not eternal. I age like you do, but I am damn invulnerable though. It's because when I die, I'll shed my mortality and be a true immortal. Next, what are you gonna do now? That's a good question actually. I'm going to enjoy my life while helping others, maybe interfere with fate a couple of times and definitely hunt them down. Before Ruby could ask who's them, Naruto continued on. But right now, I'm going to look for the purest soul, bind myself with them, and maybe give them a gift, just for the hell of it. Bind yourself? So that this is where my spirit goes to, not my world. Any more questions? Where are you gonna be staying at? I don't know actually. But anywhere's good, cause I don't have any problem sleeping on any surface, you know. I can always sleep in a 4. Why don't you stay with me? Ruby blurted out without thinking. It was, after all, told by her father to help those in need, and a homeless foreigner is one in need. What? Really? I mean, that's very kind of you and all, but aren't you suspicious of me? At all? Shock and a slight of disbelief was lacing his tone. Here he was, practically a complete stranger, and yet she's offering him to stay at her home. No, not really. Maybe at first, but you're a good person, I can feel it. Besides, you need help, and I can help you, so why not? You're really beautiful, you know that? She sputtered and blushed, and moved to interrupt him, but he wasn't finished yet. He got down on one knee, and continued. The second I landed on this world, I felt every single being in it. And amongst the myriad of lights, you're the most brightest one that shines, the most pure one out there, the only one I could trust with my will and life. So will you, Ruby Rose, give me the honor of being bonded to you, to be your life partner, your pillar, and you mine? She was about to say that was a little too fast be chosen like that they just met, that it sounded too much like a marriage proposal, but her heart was pounding like crazy. And if there was one thing that her mother said that she cherished the most, was to follow her heart, and she still remembers what her father said about love. Love takes time sometimes, and sometimes it's sudden. You can't know how you'll fall in love or why you'll love them, but you could always feel who's gonna be your other, so just be patient. You never know, he or she, I won't judge, might just be around the corner. Dad. I was just asking what a crush is. Wait, who has a crush on who? My friend said someone has a crush on me. She mumbled. Who? Is it? Gah. I don't know. Look. Zvi's chewing the couch, so she refrained from saying no. If I say yes, are you gonna support me all the way through? Through high and low. He answered. Be my pillar of strength when I need it. I will never falter. Be always there for me. I will never leave you. Love me? She asked quietly. He smiled tenderly. At least she knows this is a lifelong bond, always and forever. Do you love me now? I don't want this to be loveless. I'm falling for you more as we're talking. The sincerity of his tone made her blush. Do you ever plan on using me? Are you using me now? I'd rather be immortal and die. Can you prove that? Instead of answering, he took her hands. Then she felt it, his honest, his happiness, and his ever-growing love for her. And then she saw his past, his joy, his anger, his sadness, his loyalty. She saw it all. To be trusted so explicitly felt so good and warm. She presented a hand to him, put a ring on it. He chuckled gladly. Her hands glowed brightly, enough for her to close her eyes. As brightly it shone, it ended as quickly. And then she saw it, an elegant band of gold with carvings of strange, but beautiful symbols, and a ruby stone in the shape of a rose. A rose made out of ruby. Young will love the irony, and Dad will have a heart attack. What are we gonna tell my family? She panicked. Everything. I know you trust them, and that's enough for me. What if they don't agree? She suddenly grew worried. I mean, I know I practically jumped the gun, but I can feel you're my soulmate, so I'm not breaking our bond. Then we'll ease them into it. What if? Hush now, dear, he got a blush from her. We're going through this together, alright? So don't get all worked up, HM? Okay, dear, she got him to widen his smile, which, in turn, made her blush grow. After a few moments of comfortable silence, he asked, so, what do you want? Huh? The wish? Yup. Anything at all, besides reincarnating your mother. Wait, why not? She asked, not really sad nor disappointed, only surprised. She figured it was kinda immoral to wake the sleeping. I was gonna do it, rather my clone's already doing it, for you and her, cause she was still in the mortal plane, staying at her grave, not passed on. So yeah, I gave her another chance. My mom heard everything? Oh geez, that was kinda embarrassing. No, she's resting now. She'll be fine in a few, in walking and talking condition. So wish? Give me my first kiss. He was gonna ask if she was sure that he'd do that anyway, but he knew that she was sure, that she wasn't a materialistic girl, that she's certain with her choice. And so, he kissed her, melded their lips together oh so tenderly, caressing her face like the most precious being that she is. They were conveying their feelings for each other, no matter how recent it was that they had it. They didn't care, they understood each other on a whole different level, trust each other with their lives knowing that it'll be treasured. And only the need for air separated their soft and tender lip lock. I know it's too soon to be saying this, but I love you. His beautiful crimson rose said with the prettiest blush he'd ever seen that made his brain into mush. It's never too soon for love, he thought. I love you too. Her bright son said with a sincere smile that made her stomach jump in happiness. DAW. How sweet. A voice suddenly squealed. Wait till they hear about this. Gah. Mom. Mom? Moem? Ruby stated, first embarrassed, then confused, and then surprised. You're fine? Already? There stood her mother in her white cloak, looking like her actual age, as if she'd just gone on a vacation instead of dying, though she still looked beautiful, as not much changed with her visage. Your soulmate, Summer Rose said in a teasing tone that had her daughter blush once more, made a great job of making me a new body. I mean, look at me. It's like I never died, she said while examining her body. She then turned to Naruto and bowed her head to him. I don't know how to thank you, my lord, this is such a great opportunity, to be given the chance to live once more. Please, just call me Naruto, you're my mother-in-law now, he said in a jovial tone. That's a good point. Then you'll have to call me Mom, or at the very least Summer. She got a smile and a nod for an answer. Now come on you two, let's go home. We have two blondes waiting for us. And while we're at it, why don't you tell me and my little Rose more about yourself? Ruby had an expectant look after Summer suggested that to Naruto. Knowing more about her future husband was always good. Sure, why not? After all, they were his new family now, and he knows he was with good people. See, back then, when I was a child, this was how their story started, how the silver-eyed girl met her godly companion. Chapter 2. So hey, this is my first entry in my and Ruby's shared diary. See, Summer suggested this idea to us, me and Ruby, and I thought that it was sweet, and Ruby thought so too, so yeah. Also, it's been a couple of months since our first meeting. Anyway, I'm here to write about what happened when we got home. That phrase feels good to say. I'm going to shorten the story. We got home. Tai Yang, Ruby's dad, and Yang, Ruby's sister, nearly had a heart attack. They cried a little, noticed me, got told of what I am, what my new relation to them is. I nearly got strangled. And then we told the blonde and the blonde the story. Needless to say, the first week was weirder actually, cause it's still weird, but in the good way. But I digress, everyone has their own quirks, Yang's and Tai Yang's bad jokes and puns, that lady that looked like Madara, color scheme and all, she even has red eyes. Raven, I think, was very stiff and sarcastic, that crow guy being a drunkard, Ruby's fascination with weapons, and I guess my fascination with the color orange. Speaking of weapons, Ruby had this idea from an anime, Spirit Consumer, I think, where I would fuse myself with her weapon. Crazy, but it works. Anyway, we are going to Beacon. Well, technically it was only Ruby and Yang, but yeah. It was because she helped in stopping a robbery last week, and my wife was awesome. Oh yeah, we got married. It was a small wedding, just us and her family, and our honeymoon isn't due for a couple of months yet. Also, apparently it was family tradition that the women from her family doesn't lose their last name, but we did hyphenate our last names. Anyway, we're on our way to Beacon. Are you ready? Got everything ready? Did you forget anything at home? Do you have everything you need? Naruto asked Ruby through their bond as the two of them approached the Bullhead, a VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing, tilt-jet aircraft, that would take them to Beacon, a prestigious huntsman academy and one of the most famous in all of Remnant. Yes, no and yes. Don't be such a worrywart, dear, I've got this in the bag, she answered. After a few weeks of getting to know her life partner, who was now possessing Crescent Rose, she was now used to intimate gestures, such as the endearing nicknames, kissing, and cuddling. No more than that though, but that was completely fine with both. Ruby because she thought that it was better if they waited for a couple of months, and Naruto because he was happy to wait for Ruby to be ready and he was also quite content at their current pace. On to another topic. Where were you last night? She asked with a little heat lacing her tone. Excuse me, but is this where the… Naruto paused, looking at a piece of paper before looking back at the stark white-skinned woman, who rose a delicate eyebrow in interest. The Queen of Grimm and the Pale Goddess live? No fear? Interesting. You're in her presence, human. Now speak your piece before I have you killed for trespassing on my lands. You're them then? Wow, you're so… She expected praise for her beauty, her presence, or her power. Instead, all she got was… underwhelming. You dare mock me, human? Do you not who I am? She was outraged now. I am Salem, the goddess of the Grimm, queen of those who lurk in the dark. She was cut off mid-rant by the human. My mother, hell, my grandmother was scarier than you, and she was a gambling drunkard. They're also the most beautiful women back at home, and there were a lot of beauties back home. Sides, I met a real goddess before, more powerful, more scary, and dare I admit it, more beautiful than some women I've met. I mean, you're beautiful in your own exotic way, but what am I saying? I'm a married man, but I digress. I'm not here to discuss your godhood. Despite all of her anger, she became curious. Why are you here then? She didn't get the answer she was looking for. Instead, all she got was a glint of something shiny. Remember what I said about hunting some bad guys personally before? Yeah, that's why I was late last night. He decided to give her half the truth. Oh, well, good job then, dear, she said, knowing that he was keeping something from her, but she knows that he'll only do that to protect her. Where are you, young? She mumbled to herself, unaware of the blonde predator that was about to pounce on her. Ruby! What are you doing here? Her attacker let go of her and stepped back, showing them to be her sister Yang. Let me guess, you were probably sad that we couldn't yarn out for a couple of years, eh? Yang nudged her sister with a teasing grin. Yang has long and messy golden-yellow hair, lavender-colored eyes, pale white skin, toned and curvy figure, and wearing a tan with a gold-trimmed vest with puffy sleeves and black cuffs and a yellow low-cut crop top with her symbol over her left breast, an orange scarf around her neck, fingerless gloves with her currently inactive shot gauntlets, and Bercelica around her wrist, black short shorts with a brown belt around it, and a pouch attached to the belt, a white symmetrical back skirt, and brown boots with orange socks of different lengths with a bandana wrapped around her left boot. Dang it, Yang! Ruby playfully shoved Yet's sister away. Stop doing that. Anyway, Naruto says hi. Is he here? Yang asked, looking around for her second favorite blonde, first one being her dad. She got a positive from her sister. Where is he then? All Ruby only pouted. Weapon. Aren't you gonna ask why I'm here though? Oh yeah. Why are you here? She then leaned in, and whispered in a playfully accusing tone, you weren't intending on sneaking in, were you? What are you talking about? Of course not. Ruby shouted indignantly, not noticing Yang's playful tone. Before she could hit her sister for accusing her of such things, her conscience, Naruto, reminded her to tell Yang of her accomplishment, which made her stop, blink, and then puff her chest out in pride. I got invited by Professor Ojpin himself after I helped in stopping a robbery. She embraced Ruby once more, though a little tighter this time, only a little. Oh, I'm so proud of my little sister. Yang, you're strangling me. Let go. When she was free, she noticed the myriad of weapons. Oh my gosh. Look at that, she's got a collapsible staff. Oh, look at that girl. She's got a fire sword. Is that an EMP blast sword? Calm down, geez. You're gonna make Crescent Rose jealous. While looking at Ruby's scythe in its compact form, she leaned in a conspiratorial way. Or was that your intention all along? When Ruby blushed and sputtered, Yang laughed her guts out. JG's. I was just kidding. Hee. Anyway, instead of looking weapons, why don't you look for a new friend to hang out with? Why would I do that? I mean, I have you here with me. Me also. Naruto butted in. Yes, you too. Ruby had to repress a smile at that, also a blush. Her husband was annoyingly sweet at times. Yang was then surrounded by a group of people, who were her, Yang's, friends, as Ruby noticed. My friends are here and we have to catch up, so I'll leave you to it. Okay, bye. Yang blurted out as she and her friends were already a couple of feet away. Wait, where are you going? Are we supposed to go to our dorms? Where are our dorks? Do we even have dorms? I'm so confused. Help me out here. Okay, no, you don't have dorms, not yet at least. You'll have to go to the amphitheater first. And also? Yeah? Luggage, 6 o'clock. Naruto tried to warn her, but she was a tad dizzy from looking around. What? Was all she could ask before she hit something and stumbled to the ground. What do you think you're doing? An angry voice demanded, whose owner was standing over Ruby. It was a girl a few years older than Ruby, with a pale complexion, snow-white hair pulled up in an off-center ponytail leaning to the right, icy blue eyes with a scar running down her right one. She was wearing a pale blue bolero jacket that has a snowflake design on the back over a thigh-length dress with a combat skirt, a necklace, along with a pair of thin rectangular earrings, higher-heeled mid-calf wedge boots, and a small pouch attached to the back of her dress. Was it mentioned that she was looking downright pissed at Ruby? No? Well, she is. Very much so. Sorry. Ruby quickly apologized, got up, and tried to help the girl's servants in cleaning up the mess. Sorry? Do you have any idea in how much damage you could have caused? Okay, she's pissing me off. Naruto told Ruby. Leave her be, it's my fault anyway. Ruby said back to her husband, while picking up a case of dust that she was about to put back into the cart, but it was snatched by the girl. Give me that. This is dust, mined and refined from the Schnee quarry. The girl said in a haughty tone, opening the case to reveal vials of twinkling dust. I can see that, Ruby started to say, but the girl interrupted her before she could finish. What are you, brain dead? The girl asked, apparently dead to what Ruby was saying, as she took out a red vial from the case and shook it in front of Ruby's face. Dust, fire, lightning, water, energy. I know the Ruby coughed because of the dust that wafted into the air and onto her face, causing it to be inhaled by her. I hope that isn't bad for your lungs. Naruto told Ruby with worry evident in his voice. Oh wait, the girl's still rambling. Are you even listening to me at all? Is any of this sinking in? What do you have to say for yourself? Because of the needless shaking of the dust vial, more dust particles flew into the air and into Ruby's nose, causing her to sneeze uncontrollably, which caused a reaction from the dust, which, in turn, caused a myriad of explosions right in front of the white-haired girl. PFFF, HMHM, ha 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 ha. Naruto laughed so hard that Ruby could feel him vibrating against her back, eliciting a shiver up her spine. While that was happening, the vial that the white-haired girl was holding flew and landed in front of another girl her age. The girl in question has long and wavy hair that's as dark as the veil of darkness, a light olive complexion that complements her yellow eyes, and a slender body. She was wearing a large black bow atop her head, a black button vest with coattails, a white sleeveless undershirt that exposes her midriff with white shorts connected to her shirt, a detached scarf-like collar around her neck, black on both her arms with a detached sleeve on her right arm and a silver band on her left wrist, black stockings with a purple fade at the end, black low-heeled boots, with her weapon on her back. She picked up the vial and suddenly had a scowl on her face when she noticed the Schnee Dust Company logo on the side as she was reading a book, and looks over at the scene, where the white-haired girl, who's now covered in soot, was going of. Unbelievable! This is exactly the kind of thing I was talking about. The girl angrily yelled as she proceeded to dust herself off. I'm really sorry. Ruby apologized, embarrassed, but the other girl continued to snap at her, furthering her embarrassment. Don't you know who I am? I am. Before she could continue her rant, she was interrupted by the bow-wearing girl. Weiss Schnee, heiress to the Schnee Dust Company, she began, causing the now introduced Weiss to puff out her chest, one of the largest producers of energy propellant in the world. Finally, some proper recognition. Weiss said smugly. The same company infamous for its controversial labor forces and questionable business partners, ever since her father took the reins. The black-haired girl finished. Someone doesn't like the Schnee, it seems. Naruto thought to himself. Ayuwa, how dare you! The nerve of... Ugh! The girl shouted, but relented in the end, tired of dealing with them, and decided to storm off. Ruby turned to the black-haired girl. So, what's, only to find her walking away already. Your name? She sighed and plopped down on the ground. Why was it so hard making friends? Hey, chin up, dear. I'm sure you'll make new friends soon enough. After all, no one could resist my wife's charm. What would she do without her husband? Thanks, dear. I don't know what I'd do without you. She said to him. Take notice of that guy. Naruto said in an amused voice. Huh? And there in front of her was the guy Naruto mentioned. He was tall, blonde, and had dark blue eyes. He was wearing a black hoodie with a white chest plate and shoulder plates, brown wrist-length gloves with exposed fingertips and small metal plates, dark blue pants with a white patch on the left knee, a sword on a sheath attached to his waist, and black shoes. Hey, name's Arc, Jaune Arc. The now introduced Jaune said to Ruby, helping her stand up. Thank you. She stood up, dusted off herself, and faced Jaune. I'm Ruby Rose Uzumaki. You're half vacuin? He asked, just for the sake of starting a conversation. No, why did you ask? Confused, she was for being asked the question. Well, that last name you said he talked off. That's my husband's last name. She explained. It kinda does sound vacuin. It probably is in this world. Went to that place, some parts of it look like home. At least probably the hidden sand. Really? We haven't talked about it, have we? Ruby asked, unaware of Jaune's shocked face. No. You want to hear a story about it later after you and Jaune find the amphitheater? Oh, sorry for spacing out on you. It was only because of that Jaune was broken from his own stupor. It's nothing. He was about to ask her about her marriage, but decided against it. Might come off as rude. Damn. That's one crossed off of the people I'm allowed to flirt with. Oh well, there's always that white-haired girl. She looked pretty hot. It's okay, I space out sometimes too. Anyway, do you know where we should be hoping? She nodded. I think we should head to the amphitheater. Do you know where it is? Jaune asked as they started to walk. No. You? Ruby asked back. Well then, and only then, that they noticed that there were no more people around. Crap. Ruby! Over here! I saved you a seat! A voice called out, making Ruby swivel her head and spot a familiar blonde. Yang! A look of relief overtook her nervous one upon seeing her sister. Come on, John, let's go greet my sister, she said excitedly, walking towards her sister while dragging a surprised John by the hood, unknowingly. Hey Rubes, where've you been? Lost thanks to you, she snapped. You got lost? Why didn't you use Crescent Moon's GPS? The way the mysterious blonde stressed those words seemed weird to John, but he didn't care enough to say anything about. Hey, name's Jaune Arc, short, sweet, rolls of the tongue, and the ladies love it. Trying, and failing to be suave, John wasn't paid much attention. Yeah, I'm Yang, nice to meet you too, jailbait, she said absent-mindedly. She then leveled Ruby a questioning look. So? Why didn't you, really, why didn't you just ask me? Naruto asked curiously. She sputtered before trying to cover her embarrassment with faux anger. Did you know what happened after you left? I freaking exploded. Nice save. Naruto chuckled. Thanks. I thought so too. Ruby told Naruto. Sheesh, meltdown already? Yang casted a worried exclaim upon hearing those words. No, I literally exploded a hole in front of the school. There was a fire. And I think some eyes too. Ruby was practically panting by now. After hearing those words, Yang's worried expression turned into a scrutinizing one. Are you being sarcastic? No one's even paying attention to me. Such was the sad existence of one Jaune Arc. I wish. Ruby scoffed and went in full-on rant. Kid, I mean, just after you left me, I tripped over a girl's baggage, got yelled on by said girl, got dust on my face and in my nose, caused an explosion, and then Yang interrupted before her sister could run herself ragged. Alright, geez. Calm down and breath. Ruby did as instructed. You good? Good. So, made any friends? Before Ruby could answer, she noticed something, or rather, someone behind Yang. Oh god, it's her, she said, pointing at the young shni. You! Weisss exclaimed, while pointing at Ruby. Oh my god! You really did explode, Yang said in faux surprise, though hidden behind that was irritation at the girl, the shni, for getting her sister blown up. She then turned to the white-haired girl. Are you following my sister? Following her? Hardly. I'm merely here to remind that clumsy girl that the Shni Dust Company is not responsible to any damage dealt to her or her belongings, Weisss said while thrusting a pamphlet at Ruby's face. What's this? Ruby took the piece of paper and looked it over. Dust for dummies and other inadequate individuals? Hey! I know all I need to about dust. Oh really? Then I suppose that a knowledgeable person would blow up dust onto someone's face? Weisss asked mockingly. Ooh, a zinger contest. I love these things, Naruto said excitedly. Okay Rubes, copy me word per word. And she did. Oh yeah? Well, I suppose that a knowledgeable person would shake a vial of dust in front of someone's face like a rattle then, huh? This made Weisss blush and shorter in indignation. It might be her imagination, but Yang could have sworn she heard a loud zing from the background. Before things could escalate further, Yang tried to put a stop to things. Alright, calm down you two, you're causing a scene, and they were. The students around them could be heard either chuckling or snickering, which made both Ruby and Weisss glow red in embarrassment, though one glare from Yang caused them to turn around. She faced the two embarrassed teenagers once more and spoke. You two calm now? Good. Now why don't you two reintroduce yourselves? I'm sure you just got off of the wrong foot. Great idea! The teenage Rose said, wanting to defuse the situation, which she somewhat caused. Hello Weisss, I'm Ruby. Wanna hang out? We can go shopping. For school supplies? Yeah. We can paint our nails, try on clothes, and talk about cute boys. Like tall, blonde, and scraggly over there, Weisss says sarcastically, jabbing thumb behind her, unknowingly pointing at John. Wow really? Ruby asked with hope shining through her eyes, but faltered when Weiss's kind smile turned into a glare. No. She said plainly and made to leave. Don't worry about her, sis, I'm sure you're gonna make some new friends soon. Yang said to her dejected-looking sister. You think so? I know so, Yang said before someone was finally to the stage. Took them long enough. Now hush, they're finally here. There in the stage were two people. One was a blonde woman wearing a white blouse, a black pencil skirt, and a strange cape, while holding a riding crop. The person was a tall, lanky man with messy gray hair, contrasting to his black eyebrows. He was wearing a dark green suit, a green scarf that has a silvery cross on the front, and dark glasses that didn't quite cover his eyes. These two were Glinda Goodwitch and Ashbin, a professor of Beacon and its headmaster respectively. I'll keep this brief. Ashbin started out in a distracted manner, looking, but not quite so, at Ruby. You have traveled here today in search of knowledge to hone your craft and acquire new skills, and when you finish, you plan to dedicate your life to the protection of the people. But I look amongst you, and all I see is wasted energy, in need of purpose, direction. You assume knowledge will free you of this, but your time at this school will prove that knowledge can only carry you so far. It's up to you to take the first step. As the students whispered among themselves in reaction to Ashbin's speech, Glinda stepped up to talk. You will gather in the ballroom tonight. Tomorrow your initiation begins. Be prepared. You are dismissed. Why can't the speeches in our school be that short? Ruby pouted. That wasn't fair. Back at Signal Academy, She was sure that their headmaster and teachers were trying to kill them through boredom. Who cares? We're at Beacon now, Yang exclaimed, before looking at Ruby. You look extra excited though. So what's up with that? Ruby looked around. Before answering, Naruto said that he'd be gone in a few hours with some great news and a surprise for us. That's nice of him. Only a few months and he's spoiling you and us to death. Yang sighed. Man, you really hit the jackpot, huh? You wouldn't happen to be fine with sharing with your sister? She joked. Naruto may be an almost perfect catch, but she wasn't really into guys. Why Yang? Chapter 3. Hi Diary. This is my first entry and I don't really know how to write in these things. But anyway, I'm at Beacon now. And I made a new friend, John, and an enemy from what Yang said. But Naruto said that I only haven't convinced Weisss to be my friend yet, so there's that. And there's also that mysterious cool girl Blake. She seems too quiet though. It's kinda hard making friends with people that re older than me. It's not fair that my friends back at Patch are still at Signal Academy while I'm at Beacon already. And when they arrive here, it'll be all weird and strange. But Uncle Crow did always say that life isn't fair. Also something about an innkeeper's daughter forcing him to take responsibilities. I dunno. I'll just persevere through it all. With my sister at my side and my husband at my back, there's nothing I can't do. And done, Ruby said, closing the diary and stuffing it into her locker, unaware that her sister read over her shoulder. Of course, said sister was about to glomp Ruby. That's real sweet of you, sis. And glomp she did. Gah Yang. Get off. And don't you know the meaning of privacy? Ruby gave Yang a glare, an adorable one. Privacy? What's that? Yang asked Ruby in full wonderment. Before Ruby could make an angry remark, Yang turned on her heel, faced her locker and continued on talking anyway. Aren't you excited about the initiation? Wait, initiation? What initiation? Ruby questioned. Where did you even hear that? I think we should work on a signal. Think we should work on our signal? Yeah, I thought so too. So a passing orangeette said rapidly to her black-haired companion, from her. Anyway, so are you excited or what? Yang asked Ruby while finishing her get-up. Or what? Ruby answered awkwardly, not because of her sister, rather because of her uncertainty. Her mind then drifted onto a topic that's been bothering her since morning. Where's Naruto? What's taking him so long? She thought. Seeing her sister's worried, constipated face, Yang decided to distract her. Hey Rubes, isn't that your friend? Jake? Joe? Jack? Jailbait. That's it. His name is John, be nice. The crimson girl glared at her sister, which caused Yang to bite the side of her cheek to prevent herself from swooping down and glomping her sister. Ruby, unaware of her sister's thoughts, turned to the muttering blonde. Hey John. Good morning. What you up to? Oh, hey Ruby, I'm just looking for my locker. He then proceeded to look around and mutter to himself. I swear it was around here somewhere. Well, good luck on your locker hunt, jailbait. Come on Rubes, let's get going, the initiation's gonna be starting soon. Just after she spoke, an announcement rung out, calling all first years to where the location of test was gonna take place. And that's our cue. Ruby waved goodbye at her friend. Bye John. Yeah, bye John replied in a depressed manner, and then proceeded to sulk and whisper to himself. I'm so lonely. Because of his defeated demeanor, he failed to notice Weisss talking excitedly to a tall Amazonian-looking redhead with a strange glint in her eyes, while said redhead was answering awkwardly. See? I told you. That Schnee girl is trying to seduce that tall Amazon. Think I should sleep with when I open? Huh? Run? The excited-looking orangeette asked her companion. Said orangeette was that of short stature, with turquoise eyes and pale skin. She was wearing a collared black vest that ends at her waist which had a hammer with a lightning bolt symbol on the back. Under the vest were 2 layers of clothing in the color of red and blue. She was also wearing a white sleeveless top that had a heart-shaped hole between her cleavage and collarbone, with a white detached sleeve on each arm with matching fingerless gloves on each hands. To complete her outfit, she was wearing a pink mid-thigh length skirt with a white bow on the back, pink and white shoes with pink laces that each has the same symbol from the back of her vest on the soles, and armor beginning in the middle of the shoulder and neck and end by the waist. Maybe, but I think we should be going. Come on Nora. The guy, Ren, told the now named Nora. Lyren, as his full name is, has pale pink eyes and long ebony hair tied into a ponytail that has a magenta streak on the left side. He was wearing a dark green, diagonally buttoned, long-sleeved tailcoat that's red on the inside with black and gold trimmings that goes down the right side of his torso and forms a black collar and pink cuffs. Okay. Coming Ren. But not that kind of coming, cause we're in public, and we're not, you know, a couple. But I'm not saying you're not handsome or anything, cause you are, but it'd be super weird cause we've been friends for so long. Nora blathered on and on, getting the occasional hum of agreement or a grunt of, well, disagreement. Beacon Cliff, a place that overlooks the Emerald Forest, and where the current initiation was being held. Near the cliff edge, students can be seen standing on platforms whilst facing Ashbin and Glinda, who are both overlooking the whole spectacle. For years you all have been training to become warriors that protect our land from the creatures of Grimm, which will be extinct decades after, thanks to a strange god. Ashbin thought idly to himself before continuing, and today, in that canopy of trees, he said, pointing to the direction of the forest, the Emerald Forest, is where you'll be tested whether or not you're ready for the burdens of a person studying, learning and becoming a huntsman. Ashbin finished, before giving way to Glinda. I'm certain most of you have heard rumors concerning the assignments of teams, and I'm here to confirm said rumors. Glinda momentarily paused and took a quick glance at Ruby, who looked a bit antsy, and continued what she was saying. Each of you will be given teammates today. Murmurs were heard amongst the students, wondering on how this will proceed. Along those was one crimson rose. Why? Oh, Ruby whined at this unexpected prospect, and then thought to herself about her currently away husband. What is taking him so long? He should have been back by now. I hope he hasn't got himself in trouble. These teammates will be with you for the rest of your time here at Beacon, so it should be in your best interest to be paired with someone you could work alongside with well, Ashbin advised the students. He took a sip from his mug of hot cocoa, and then proceeded to look at the huntsman hopefuls. Yam looked at her sister, who proceeded to whine some more, and gave her a thumbs up of reassurance, which earned her a small smile in return. Ashbin continued his speech. With that said, for this year's initiation, the first person you make eye contact with after landing will be your partner for the next 4 years. See? I told you so, Nora told Ren, who only gave his reply in the form of a hum. After you've partnered up, you must make your way towards the northern end of the forest. And along the way, you will meet oppositions. Remember this, do not hesitate to destroy everything in your path or you will die. And with that, Ashbin continued on his encouraging speech. John let out a short nervous laugh and gulped soundly while Nora had a far too happy look on her face that it could be considered hazardous towards another person's life. Of course, that only made John even more nervous. You will be monitored and graded through the duration of the initiation, but our instructors will not intervene. You will find an abandoned temple at the end of the path containing several relics. Each pair must choose one and return to the top of the cliff, and once you do so, your test will be over. Are there any questions? John raised a hand. Yeah, sir? I've got a question, he stated nervously. Good. Now everyone, prepare your landing strategy, Ashbin instructed. Everyone got into their own stances, except for John, who still has his hand raised. Sir? He repeated, I've got a question. He spoke up, hoping to be heard this time, not noticing Weisss being launched up into the air by the tile underneath her, with others following suit. So, about this landing strategy thing, well, what is it? Are you, dropping us off or something? No, you will be falling, Ashbin answered nonchalantly. Oh, okay, John said, still not comprehending what the headmaster was saying, and still oblivious to what's happening around him. Did you hand out parachutes or something? Jaya ha ha ha. Nora laughed excitedly as she was launched into the air. No, you will be using your landing strategy, Ashbin said to the blonde boy while Glinda gave John a calculating look while the next student, Ren, was launched. Yeah, John said, still not assured and still clueless, thought to himself, maybe I should ask more clearly. As he was thinking, Yang, a few students away from John, was preparing herself and gave her sister a wink, which earned her a thumbs up, and put on her aviator glasses before being launched. Woohoo! Yan yelled as she was launched, followed by her sister, who herself was ready for the takeoff. So, how will we be ing? John began, only to be interrupted by being flung off of the cliff. Ashbin took a sip from his mug, before answering, with style. Of course, this earned him a deadpan look from his trusty subordinate. Hello? Anyone out there? Hello? Yang, after maneuvering through different obstacles by utilizing her shot gauntlets, Ember Celica, and after landing was now combing through the forest in search of a partner. She was okay with nearly anyone to be her partner, and she very much welcomed a partnership with her sister, though she knew that it'd be better if they didn't pair up, for Ruby's sake. Ruby had been getting better, but Yang would prefer it if Ruby met some new people. Then again, it'd be much easier for us if we become partners, she thought to herself, before hearing a rustling from the bushes behind her. Who's there? She went to the bushes to take a look. Ruby, is that you? She asked before hearing an inhuman growl, which prompted her to look up. Nope. Not Ruby. She was then forced to roll to the side as the Ursa, a bear-like Grim, took off, charging towards her and tried to take a bite out of her. Yang righted herself and activated Ember Celica before sensing another Ursa charging at her from behind. She back-flipped over Ursa number 2, as she promptly named it in her head, to dodge a change from Ursa number 1, all the while unleashing a fiery punch at Uno. Unt was attempting another charge, but Yang countered it by sucking under its swipe and delivering multiple and successive punches before finishing it up with a kick that sent it flying backwards. You guys wouldn't happen to have seen a red-hooded girl, have you? You know, about this tall, has red-tipped black hair, and probably in the middle of spazzing out right now, she asked, only to receive a pair of growls as an answer. Rude. You could have just said no. When the Aversa took a couple of slashes at her, only for Yang to dodge them all and laugh. Ah geez, you two couldn't hit the broadside of a BA, she started to say, taunt really, only to stop when she noticed a strand of her hair fall in front of her face and land on the ground. Her fists began to shake with rage as her eyes began to blaze a bloody red. Monsters, she screamed, as a fiery shroud overtook her form and she began unleashing a barrage of fury-filled disaster. She went to the closest Ursa and prompted to deliver a devastating fire-infused punch after punch, before ending it with a mighty blow that sent it flying through several trees. She then proceeded to charge at the remaining Ursa and was forced to jump to avoid a high swipe aimed at her face. Seeing an opening, she quickly made her way and jumped once more, this time landing on the Ursa's back. She wrapped her legs around the neck before bashing its skull in mercilessly. Suddenly, a voice from behind a tree drawled out, "Wow, you really like your hair, huh? What? You want a piece of me too?" Yang bellowed, still filled with blood-pumping adrenaline. "I hope that temper's not a common occurrence. That'd really be difficult to deal with for the next 4 years," the voice said, sounding a tad amused, before its owner stepped into view, revealing Blake Belladonna, the bow-wearing girl from last night. Yang, after calming herself down, chuckled sheepishly before looking at her new partner. "Ahihi, it's nice to see you again. And it looks like we're partners now, huh?" Blake merely lifted an amused eyebrow. "Indeed. In another part of the Emerald Forest." "Okay, gotta find Yang, Ruby muttered to herself while making her way through trees. "Though I guess partnering up with Blake might not be so bad. She's so mysterious, calm, and collected, but I'm not sure I can hold a conversation with her though. There's Jaune, but he seems a little lanky though, and not too good at fighting. And there's Pyrrha, she seems nice, don't know her that much though. And who else? Yang, Jaune, Blake, Pyrrha, and..." Her train of thought was suddenly derailed when something crashed into her from above. As she was shaking the cobwebs out of her head and cleared her vision, she found herself looking into the icy blue eyes of one Weisss, who was straddling her waist with a look of surprise on her face. "Weiss," Ruby thought as Weiss slowly got off of her, "this'll be a rocky partnership." There was a moment of silence between the two of them, before Weiss turned around and walked to the other direction, apparently not caring about the pairing rule. However, just as Weiss got a few feet away from Ruby, a resounding cacophony of growls could be heard coming from her left side. There, hiding behind the tree line, was a pack of beowulfs, intent of making a lunch out of Weiss. But of course, all of the growling got the woman in white and the Scarlet Lady's attention. "Looks like we're stuck together, huh?" Ruby said as she unfolded Crescent rose and took a stance. "Seems like it. You better not hold me back," Weiss said as she prepared Murdermaster, her rapier, while also preparing a glyph. "Wouldn't dream of it." With that, the two began the would-be slaughter. "Are you sure about this?" Pyrrha Nikos, the redhead that was talking with Weiss that morning, asked Jaune, as they traversed through a dark cave lit only by Jaune's makeshift torch, with Jaune leading the way, as common sense dictates. Pyrrha was a tall person, standing at 6 feet tall with heels on. She has vibrant green eyes, pale and creamy skin, and red hair that was styled into a ponytail that was curled slightly into a loose ringlet. She was wearing a 2-layer top, the top layer being a light brown-colored, strapless top split divided vertically with some bronze patterns. The bottom layer being a low bronze v-neck. She was also wearing an elastic, red, A-line miniskirt, brown opera-length gloves on both arms, and a red ankle-length sash wrapped around her skirt. She also has a small circular bronze plate on the right side of her hip connected to her belt bearing her spear and shield emblem. Underneath her hair is a brown circlet that's adorned with a pair of small, teardrop-shaped emeralds on thin chains. She was also wearing a large bronze gorget around her neck, a bronze bracelet in the upper half of her left arm, and an elaborate bronze greaves that starts below her mid-thigh and connects to her boots. "Right now?" Jaune said nervously, while glancing at the walls of the cave. "No, not really. Why don't we head back then?" she suggested, looking at the cave entrance behind them, before talking once more without turning around. "And I don't think this is the location. It veers too far from north." Jaune would have probably insisted on searching, delving further into the cave, but the numerous red eyes that were seemingly staring at them made him agree with Pyrrha's suggestion. Though he couldn't voice it because of his fear. Pyrrha, noticing Jaune's lack of response, turned to him to ask him again before noticing the many red eyes. "Run and live?" Jaune would have said something about what a brilliant idea that was, but it seemed like fear disabled his ability to talk. He did manage a small squeak of agreement though. Lyrin, after finish a pair of King Taijutsu, was now calmly strolling through the forest with his pair of bladed submachine guns, named Stormflower, in hand. A strange sound then went out coming from a nearby tree. Wah-wah. He would have tensed and prepared himself if it weren't for the fact that he knew that voice. "I don't think that's what a sloth sounds like, Nora," Ren drawled out with a small smile on his face as the culprit made herself known, by hanging upside down from a branch and poking his nose, of course. "Boop," Ren reciprocated the action, smile still on his face. "Yes, boop to you too." Of course, he missed the slight blush on his best friend's face. After seeing Ruby slaughter, not kill, slaughter a pack of beowulfs with ease, Weiss begrudgingly admitted to herself that this clumsy dolt was talented, though she did wonder about that strange shining ring. "See? We did well together. Maybe being paired up wasn't such a bad thing, huh?" Quite unaware that she was being scrutinized, Ruby was excited to show her new partner that she was very capable of hauling her own weight. "And you were amazing. You were all like Wawa. Hiya. And schling/schling. You're so cool out there." Caught on by surprise by sudden praises, although strangely worded ones, Weiss blushed, but it was quickly covered by a haughty look and a condescending response. "Of course I was. I am, after all, very proficient in using my rapier, misunderstanding, and my semblance. She was gonna end it at that, before she noticed Ruby's face, which looked like a puppy waiting for a treat. You weren't too sloppy yourself. Perhaps we could salvage this partnership after all. Apparently, that was what Ruby was anticipating for, because she beamed so brightly that it made Weisss give a small smile in return. You really think so? She asked a tad meekly, only a tad, still not used all that much to Weisss' presence. Still wearing a small grin, Weisss replied, a touch arrogantly perhaps, so don't make me regret trusting in you and your skill. Of course, don't mistake this partnership for friendship, yes? She finished with a level stare. Ruby's expression dimmed for a bit, before it immediately brightened. I'll win your friendship with my winner personality. Sooner or later, we'll be besties, just like my husband said we'd be. Where is that dink though? Somewhere, in the Pure Lands. Achoo. Those clones need to hurry, Ruby's getting worried. Naruto muttered to himself while preparing a big scroll. He then smiled. I hope they'd like my surprise though. You're whipped, aren't you? Don't answer that, 'cause I know you are. Ha! Wait till I tell Kushina about this. A deep and powerful voice laughed out. Naruto gave the voice a middle finger. Screw you, Kurama, go to hell. We don't have a hell, you idiot. Right. Anyway, since when were you friends with Mom, though? Thought you hated her. I am not friends with that hairless monkey. I merely find her more amusing to talk with compared to my crazy siblings. That's all. Yeah, sure, bud. So what do you two gossip buddies talk about? Weren't you listening to me, you insolent whelp? We aren't friends. Of course you aren't. So I heard from Kushina, who heard from Mikoto, who heard from Izuna, that apparently Madara. Looks like we're one of the first to arrive. Yang said as she and Blake were looking around the ruins. Wonder if Ruby already got here. It seems so, was Blake's simple response. You're quite talkative, aren't ya? Yang was met with silence and a deadpan look. She coughed into her hand to mask her amusement. That just proves me right. You don't mind if I take a cute little pony, do you? Sure, go ahead. Blake started, blank look replaced with slight amusement. She then thought to something that was bothering her since she saw it. What's with your sister's ring, if you don't mind me asking? She seems to take very good care of it. Is it an heirloom? Wow, that's the longest sentence I heard you speak. But no, that isn't an heirloom. It is important though, she jokingly said first, before noticing Blake's creepy yellow-eyed blank stare and correcting her tone. How so? She was curious, not because she was interested about the story behind the ring, no. She was interested in the reason as to why a seemingly clumsy girl like Ruby be given such a ring. It looked very precious and expensive. It's a gift. And that's all Yang said before thinking to herself, another person asking that question. She's probably gonna be surprised at the reason too. Why were they so surprised though? We hunters and huntresses tend to have shorter lifespans. Blake figured out that Yang wouldn't tell her the reason, so she stayed quiet. And that silence lingered for a couple of moments before Yang asked another question. Do you mind if we wait here a little longer? Yang got a shake of the head for an answer. Though, it wasn't long before someone disturbed the sound of silence once more. Aya! Hiya! Charge forward, my mighty steed! Charge! Jaya ha ha ha, the ever-eccentric Nora said while riding atop a large Ursa, before accidentally hitting it with Manghild, a war hammer/grenade launcher combo, that she was swinging around. It's broken. Then, a second voice was heard, this one seemingly winded. Nora. Please don't do that again. Ever. It was the girl's friend, Lyran. He looked around and noticed that his partner was once again gone. Ugh, that girl is gonna be the death of me, I just know it. Oh. Nora said, now in the temple and starting at a golden rook relic before swiping it, and started signing. Ha ha ha. I'm the queen of the castle. I'm the queen of the castle. Nora, coming Ren. Nora said as she skipped towards her exhausted-looking partner, probably from dealing with that girl's antics. Blake thought to herself, before noticing the figurative elephant in the room. Her ruins, wait, did that girl just ride an Ursa? Yang was about to answer, before being interrupted by a loud shout. Run for your lives. Jaune said, as he appeared out of nowhere along with Pira, while running away from two big Grim and a small pack of Beowulfs, a Deathstalker, a huge scorpion-looking Grim, and a Nevermore, a giant raven look-alike. Did those two just run all the way here with all those femme chasing them? Blake asked, wide-eyed and shocked, but quickly recovered for the conflict that's about to come. Young tried to answer once more, but was interrupted by something distracting. And by that, she meant a Grim is about to attack someone, Jaune, and that someone is unprepared distracting. Luckily for Jaune, a giant red and black scythe quickly ripped through the Grim, which is a Beowulf, with a couple of red rose petals were floating around, saving his life. The owner's voice then called out, looks like we arrived right on time, huh Weisss? Not waiting for a response, Ruby Rose quickly made work of the monstrous werewolves along with everyone else, who started attacking after hearing Ruby speak. Unknown to everyone else, Ruby was currently talking to someone who's in trouble in her opinion. Why did you take so long? Naruto tried to explain himself before Ruby cut him off. Did you know how worried I was? I thought you got into some kind of trouble when you weren't back this morning. You said you'd only take a couple of hours. You took almost a day. A day. At the least you could have warned. What do you have to say for yourself, mister? Ruby finished with a mental glare aimed at her husband. You didn't check your scroll, did you? Naruto asked. I did so, the paw on your left. The paper-type scroll? He clarified, while she hooked the blade of the scythe at the neck of the Beowulf and pulled the trigger, launching her back along with a severed grim head. We really need to give them different names. Ruby told him, unaware that a big bad Beowulf was stalking towards the Red Riding Hooded Reaper. Naruto was about to warn her, but someone called out faster. On your right. Yang suddenly called out, before she jumped towards her sister, and on the Beowulf. She grabbed its neck with her legs before aiming Ember Celica at its head and firing. The giant lumbering wolf was now a giant lumbering corpse falling to the ground. Thanks, sis. Ruby called out before ensuring the fray once more. She then took notice of the two most dangerous Grimm in the field were preparing to attack and the thinning numbers of the pack were gathering closer. Everyone. Regroup. How did you guys even manage to get the attention of so many Grimm in the first place? Weisss asked in an irritated manner. Who wouldn't be irritated? Second day of school and your life's already in danger. Less talking, more fighting. Yang shouted while making her way towards her sister. She had to deck a few Beowulfs before arriving at the location. Any plans, sis? After everyone gathered up, Ruby spoke up. Yeah? Weisss, can you immobilize the Deathstalker? Weisss scoffed. That's merely child's play. She then prepared her rapier and made an ice glyph appear underneath the giant scorpion and froze a few of its legs. Done. Good. Yang, you're with me. Nora, think you can come with us to break a few legs with that hammer? Ruby asked while preparing her scythe. Breaking legs is what Manghild and I live for. Nora exclaimed as she, Yang, and Ruby charged at the temporarily immobilized Deathstalker. Let's bring them support, guys. Weisss, Blake, let's finish the remaining Beowulfs. Ren, Pyrrha, shoot at the Nevermore to keep it distracted. Come on, Jaune said while preparing his sword and shield, Crochet Moors, and began slashing at the humanoid Grimm with the help of Blake and Weisss. Weisss was slashing ferociously and yet graciously at the enemies, remaining as graceful as ever. She was, however, irked that someone dared to order her around. You better pray that we live through this arc, or else she was cut off as she was forced to dodge a lunge from one of the Grimm. She then spun on her heel, created a glyph to boost her speed, and dashed at the offending Grimm, running it through with Murdermaster. TCH, that's what you get. Talk down to its corpse later, Schnee. We still have a few Beowulfs to deal with. Blake while slashing at a mid-lunge Beowulf with her cleaver scabbard while shooting at another with Gamble Shroud, her pistol/katana. She had to dodge to the side when a Beowulf attempted a slash. She jumped backwards and had Gamble Shroud fold before attaching her ribbon to it, creating a makeshift chain sickle. She then spun her weapon over her head, before slashing at every enemies available to her, aka every Beowulf. Of course, this only irritated the Schnee, of which she sent a smirk towards. Before anyone could question as to why she didn't do that at the beginning, Pyrrha called out, a little help would be great, guys. Jaune quickly dished out orders, Blake and Ren, shoot that bird down. Come on, Weisss, let's help slay a giant scorpion. Of course, this irritated Weisss a little, though she didn't voice it this time. As they got closer to the trio, they could hear Ruby give Nora and Yang orders. Void the claws, Yang. Try and shoot at the stinger, Nora. I'll try and slice off a limb or four. She then dashed in close and began on slashing on the legs and claws while avoiding attacks from the now free but now sluggishly moving Deathstalker. Got it. Roger, Roger. Yang and Nora replied as they followed the given orders. Nora jumped away from the scorpion and transformed her warhammer, Manghild, into a grenade launcher and began shooting out rounds at the stinger while avoiding friendly fire. Yang, meanwhile, was running towards the Grimm while weaving left and right to avoid its onslaught. When she got close enough, she jumped on its carapace and unleashed a barrage of fire-fueled, forced rage-induced, bullet-infused punches. Need any help, Ruby? Jaune asked when he and Weisss got in Ruby's hearing range. Yeah. Mind freezing the tail, partner? Ruby asked as she successfully cut down a claw along with 3 legs. Not at all. And so she did, by utilizing Murdermaster and making an ice glyph just behind the Deathstalker with her remaining ice dust. It's done, Ruby! You better hurry up though. That won't hold for too long. Not even a week of meeting each other, and they're working great together, like a well-oiled machine. Naruto thought, observing everyone, taking in their fighting styles, and assessing their skills. They're better than the old Team 7. Hope being Hokage's giving Sasuke white hair. Ruby, unaware of her husband's thoughts but aware of his mirth, replied to Weisss, got it. Nora, hit its mask. Yang, get out of there. She then went behind the Grimm herself, being one of the few in the group to do so quickly, and immediately unfolded Crescent rose and began unleashing a barrage of high-caliber bullets at the frozen segment of the tail. Yang, tired of being immobile for a while, shouted, what now? Before Ruby, who was still shooting at the Deathstalker, although subconsciously, could shout out an answer. The tail then broke and fell towards the Grimm's weakened and cracked mask, thanks to Yang and Nora, which resulted in the thing's death at the same time. Pyrrha, Blake, and Ren disposed of the Nevermore. Everyone then went quiet, save for Nora's humming, who was happily skipping towards the Deathstalker corpse, and then proceeded to poke it, while saying poke every time she did so. That happened. Jaune said, trying to alleviate some of the tense silence. Crazy second day of school, huh? It went poof. Nora, and not now, please. Chapter 4. Looks kinda cramped, doesn't it? Yang said as she and her new team stood at the doorway of their new shared place. It was mid-noon, and they were just dismissed from the final part of the initiation, the forming of the teams, and now looking at their new living space. Though, there's not much space to begin with, and they weren't much happy about that fact. Weisss, a person used to large spaces, was the first to complain. Do they think that this place is adequate for 4 people to live in, and our belongings won't probably even fit in here? She complained with an eyebrow twitching. Maybe if you haven't brought your whole room with you, then we might have possibly been able to manage, Blake said while reading a book, pointedly ignoring Weisss' irritation. She then threw a quick glance to the room, seeing the room for the first time. With a wince, she quickly added, I gotta agree with the she though. Our stuff won't fit in here. How about we set up B? Ruby was about to suggest something, before Naruto spoke up. How about I help you expand? Ruby then quickly went into her and Naruto's shared soul's cape and gave Naruto an illegally adorable, inquisitive look. You can? Wow, I still sound weird. Anyway, you can do that? Of course I can, dear. I am, according to Kakashi, a person who can fix mostly anyone's problems. Though, he also called me a person who has trouble looking over his shoulder, he said proudly at first, before mumbling the last part. He then brightened once more. A little fuinjutsu here, a small time and space altercation there, and your comfort troubles are gone. Pfft, you sound like an advertisement. Ruby's comment made Naruto falter, but he immediately perked up when Ruby continued, thanks though. You're always trying to help me, even with the smallest things. Naruto then grew bashful. Ah geez, you're welcome. Sides, you're my awesome wife, so of course I'll always try and help you. You're the greatest thing that happened to me. He grabbed her hands and squeezed them gently while giving Ruby a soft smile. A gesture she returned. Still, thanks. Love ya. And with that and a kiss to Naruto's cheek, Ruby left their shared, leaving a goofily grinning blonde. Love ya too. Coming out of her trance, Ruby noticed the slightly amused, impatient, and curious look directed at her, coming from Yang, Weisss, and Blake respectively. She suddenly grew self-conscious from all of the looks she's getting. What? Your idea? What is it? Weisss growled asked in frustration. She was an heiress, and heiresses do not growl, thank you very much. Spacing out for a few moments, gaining a hazy-eyed look as if unfocused on the outside world, and when they do return from their spell, they aren't aware of what happened. Oh, she's like the character from the book I'm reading. Blake thought to herself somewhat excitedly, while still keeping an aloof look. Alright, that Ruby trailed off, unsure of how to continue. Just tell them to wait outside and not to worry. Naruto supplied. Well. Just wait outside and don't worry about anything. I'll handle everything. She told her new roommates. Yang gave her a thumbs up and went outside to try and get comfortable while waiting, while Blake and Weisss gave her wary looks. Weisss more so than Blake's. Alright, was all Blake said, still a tad suspicious, but decided to trust her new leader. I can at least get on with my reading. Weisss was about to voice her discomfort with the idea, but thought better of it. It's not like she'll make our living space much more uncomfortable. She thought and made to leave, but not before giving Ruby a slight glare. She was still a little miffed at not being made leader, but gave the headmaster's decisions some faith. He wasn't the headmaster for nothing, after all, and she did show some good qualities. Don't worry, Ruby said to Weisss, it'll only take 4 hours at most. Naruto supplied. 4 hours? At most. Ruby continued, ushering Weisss outside, making her glare even more annoyed. Now what? She asked Naruto. Naruto, after making sure that everyone was out and not gonna barge in, released his hold on Crescent Rose and turned to Ruby with a raised eyebrow and a grin. Now you'll tell me how to design each and every room. Outside Team rwby's dorm room, 3 hours and 37 minutes later. Ugh, I'm bored. Yang moaned out, sprawling out her limbs at her sides, now bored of playing her scroll. She then turned to her 2 teammates. Hey guys, wanna play the let's make out with each other and see if we're compatible game? It'll be fun, she suggested to Weisss and Blake while wiggling her eyebrows suggestively. How obscene. Weisss exclaimed with a red face. Do you ask that to every people you just met? Such lewdness. Blake's answer was a blank look, though there was a faint red tinting her cheeks. What a pervert. Though I guess I'd be a liar if I said I wasn't one. Everyone is one, after all. She thought to herself. Upon hearing Weisss' comment, Yang scoffed. Of course not. I only asked that to every hot girl I just met, not every person. She crossed her arms at this, losing her insulted look and replaced it with an appraising one while at Blake and Weisss up and down. I mean, you two are one of the hottest girls I've ever seen, bar myself of course. Before Weisss, or possibly Blake, if she felt like it, could retort, Ruby's voice called from the other side of the door. Hey guys. It's done. Weisss, already tired of dealing with the perverted blonde, was the first to move to enter their dorm. Of course, upon seeing it, she immediately had to correct herself, for it was no simple room anymore. Before, it only had just one room and one bathroom solely for waste disposal. Showers were taken at a shared facility. Now it has a living room, which has 2 couches, 1 love seat, a coffee table in the middle, a television attached to wall, and a shelf of books right aside by the TV, and 2 corridors, one leading to 4 doors, 2 on each side, which she assumed were their rooms, while the other has 5 doors, 2 on each sides with the last one at the end of the corridor, looking ominous. Okay, how did you do this? Weisss said after a couple moments of awe, indicating to their new door dash, not one anymore. More like an apartment. Please tell me there's a gaming room in one of those doors? Jaune, the one who asked the question, was pointing at the corridor with 4 doors. Nope. Those are the bedrooms, Ruby said before pointing to the other corridor. The recreation room is over there. Sweet. How is this even possible? Is this her semblance? Then what kind of semblance is it? Blake thought to herself as she moved closer to a couch and sat down. This is comfortable, she said with a small smile. Ruby put her hands on her hips and puffed her chest. Only the best can be bought for Team RWBY. She then looked at Blake and Weisss. Jaune, after finding the right door, was already in the recreation room. Why don't you guys unpack? Your names are on the door of your rooms. With a sigh, Blake stood up and went towards her room, but not before throwing the couch a subtle longing look. Goodbye for now, comfy couch. Very well. But what will you be doing? Weisss said as she stood up and looked her partner. Me? Well, I already unpacked my stuff, so I'm gonna do a little exercise, Ruby said. Exercise how to play better at video games. She thought to herself. Weisss smiled faintly, completely misunderstanding what Ruby said. Not that it's her fault, she said. Keeping in shape is very good. I'm glad you're taking initiative. Yeah. I mean, I gotta keep at it if I want to beat my uncle one day. I'll leave you be then. If anyone needs me, I'll be in my room. Alright. Now, time to murder some video game characters. Meanwhile, at Salem's castle. What do you mean mistress is dead? A young raven-haired woman asked the figure sitting on her goddess throne. Just as I said, dear. My cousin was murdered quite easily, so if I might add. The being said in a powerful yet alluring androgynous voice. And so, you will now do as I say. Do you understand? 1. That can't be. Mistress is dash. Ravenette woman was cut off by an immense wave of power that washed over her. Understand? The powerful being asked once more, this time getting a small nod from the woman. They then stood up, their figures still obscured by the shadows as before. Good. I'm glad we've come to an understanding. Cinderfall, otherwise. Otherwise. Despite all her courage, all her intelligence, all her power, Cinder couldn't her but shiver from that person's tone, and not the pleasant kind either. Why yes. I am glad. You know what I despise the most? They suddenly asked, interrupted Cinder, but didn't wait for an answer. Liars. Especially those who lie to themselves. So save your breath, and prepare yourself. Now, let's talk about my cousin's convoluted plan. Why yes, well, nighttime, Beacon Academy, Team RWBY's dorm, Ruby's room. Ruby Rose, currently in her sleeping attire, was in front of a mirror brushing her longer than usual hair. I should get a haircut soon, she mumbled quietly. Naruto, currently lounging on their bed, heard her what she practically whispered. He sat up and said, I think it suits you. What? She asked, a tad surprised at Naruto's sudden comment. Long hair. I think it suits you. You look more beautiful with long hair, he said once more, though a little more clear. Really? I mean, it's kinda uncomfortable and messy and hot, and then I'll look too much like Mom. As she mumbled the last part, she looked down at her feet. I mean, I really love Mom, and I'm really thankful you brought her back and made our family complete again. But? Naruto asked. Ruby sighed. It's just that it'll seem like I'm just a complete copy of Mom. Just Summer Rose 2.0. Not Ruby Rose 1.0. I mean, I want to be just like Mom, but I don't want to be her. I want to be my own person. I want to make my own legend, you know? Pfft, Naruto snickered. But before Ruby could admonish him for it, he spoke. Sorry, you kinda triggered something. But yeah, I get ya. But you don't have to worry about all that stuff. You might think that it's like that, but it isn't. Whenever I see your face, you know the first thought that comes into my mind? What? Ruby asked. Then I'm lucky that I'm married, bonded to you, the most unique person I've ever met. A 1 in a million lifetimes. You might look like an amalgamation of Summer and Taeyang, but you're your own person. Believe it. He finished looking at Ruby from across the room. He then laid down, and Ruby joined him not a minute after. I'm still having my hair cut, Ruby said after a few moments of silence. She then added, it's uncomfortable. If it wasn't for his wife's adorable yet still terrifying glare, Naruto wouldn't have relented. Fine. I still stand by what I said though. After a few moments of silently laying down, and being spooned by her husband, Ruby suddenly remembered something. I just remembered. Why did you take so long? And no, I didn't have the time to read the PT scroll. Well, besides getting caught up in otherworldly gossip, packing up your and Yang souvenirs took a while. And no, I'll give it to you tomorrow evening. Also, I've got great news. Ruby then sat up and looked at her husband. What is it? She asked. I'm pregnant. Ruby's answer to that was simply a deadpan look which got her husband to correct himself. Sorry, but you kinda set that up. He cleared his throat when Ruby's blank look impossibly intensified, and spoke once more. Anyway, I can finally walk freely in public. Ruby's blank look shattered. Oh really? She stuttered. This was, after all, big news. Him being able to freely do so now meant that those major threats that he told her about were gone. That's great. I know, he said before laying down while bringing down Ruby with him. He then let out a sigh and spooned Ruby once more. Sometimes I wish I wasn't a god so that the lives of my loved ones, your and your family's lives, won't be at risk, you know? But then I thought, if I wasn't one then how the hell, swear jar, am I supposed to meet you? I can't, which is why I'm glad I am one, you know. So I guess I'll just have to protect you all. Where did all that come from? Ruby asked. Don't get her wrong, she was touched by what he said, but he just said that out of the blue. I dunno. Maybe stress? He suggested. Maybe I'm reassuring myself? Maybe it's my fear talking? Fear of losing you guys to people who are out to get me? Ruby rolled herself and looked at Naruto in the eyes. She said, there's no need to be scared. You know that we can protect ourselves, and if it's an enemy out of our league then I know that you can defeat them. You won't lose us, you won't lose me, not even after 100 million lifetimes. And if I do get lost, I know you can find me, and even if it takes another million lifetimes I'll wait for you, and I will never keep you waiting, he said. He then lowered his head and touched his lips to hers, sharing a tender kiss with his wife. When the kiss broke, he looked at the silver pools that were Ruby's eyes, and said, I love you. You're the greatest thing that ever happened to me. You're my most precious person. And I will never love another, even if I reincarnate I'll just go back to you, my precious gemstone. I love you too, I don't have anything to say besides that. Yeet. Ruby ended with a red face, from what Naruto said, and an awkward chuckle. It's alright, he said. He then shifted Ruby so that she was facing the way he was and brought her close to him. He reached over and turned off the bedside lamp, kissed Ruby's head, and whispered to her, good night. Good night. The next day, Team rwby's dorm. It was early in the early, with the sun having just risen, birds chirping, and 4 ringing alarm clocks each accompanied by groans. As the 4 girls were slowly getting in their feet, a blonde could be seen cooking and singing, and shaking his booty, in the kitchen with an orangeette sitting at the kitchen table waiting eagerly. Making pancakes, making pancakes. Making pancakes, that's what I love to make. Making panca morning Ruby. Yang and Ruby's teammates. He cut off his song as he noticed Team rwby slowly trudging into the kitchen. Weisss and Blake immediately went stiff and made a move to prepare themselves against the horned and tailed stranger who was wearing a frilly pink apron. Ruby and Yang, however, you do know it's too damn early, right? Screw that, I'm up now anyways. You cooking banana pancakes? Yang asked, getting a nod for an answer. Sweet. Ruby, finally awake enough, sat down at the table besides Yang. Morning Naruto, Yang, Blake, Weisss, Nora. Wait, she said, finally taking notice of the eccentric orangeette. What are you doing here? Well, as Nora was about to start explaining herself, a voice cut her off. There are 2 strangers inside our kitchen. Are seriously asking one of them what they're doing here? Weisss asked in an indignant manner. She continued, what if they're here to kill us? Or worse, kill me? Too. Naruto had a deadpan look on his face, that Ruby, Yang, and Blake also had, and faced Weisss, while still flipping pancakes. If I wanted to, I could have done that while you were asleep. He faced the stove again before continuing, and the only ones dying here are your taste buds, 'cause they're gonna be drowning in flavors. He finished with a flourish of the spatula he was holding, eliciting a giggle from Ruby, Nora, and Yang. Also, we worked with Nora yesterday, remember? Yang reminded Weisss. Naruto then handed her a stack of pancakes. Thanks. Ooh, where's mine, Foxy? Nora asked while raising her right hand. The young blonde man handed her plate. Thank you. Strawberry pancakes? Thanks, dear, Ruby said after receiving her own stack, oblivious to the shocked face of Weisss and Blake's wide eyes. Nora, well, she's Nora, Nuff said. Dear? What do you mean, dear? Who is this? What's he doing here? And will you stop cooking pancakes for a freaking moment? Weisss questioned. Again, she was an heiress, and heiresses never scream. After a moment of silence, Naruto asked her, so you don't want pancakes? Well, what do you want? I can make you some French toast, if you want. Finally giving up, Weisss said, why, you know what? Yeah, that actually sounds nice. She then sat down next to Ruby and sighed, morning everyone. Naruto then looked at Blake and motioned to an empty sit with a plate waiting in front of it. Sit down, yeah? And what do you want? Pancakes? Waffles? Hash browns? French toast? Just say it. Blake, completely weirded out by the situation, just plopped down tiredly on the indicated seat. Do you have any fish? With eggs if able. And frying. Naruto then created a clone to take over the stove, pointedly ignoring Weisss and Blake's wide eyes, and sat next to Ruby and began eating his own plate of pancakes. After a few moments of tense silence, he spoke once more. So, how was yesterday? Before anyone else could answer, Nora did it for them, with a full mouth and wild hand gestures. Yeah, not going through that hellhole that's called Nora's imagination. Back to the story. Before Nora could continue on recalling her version of what happened, Weisss interrupted her. I really hate to interrupt you, but it seems that out time is lacking for you to finish your take. We must take our showers now. She then rounded to the still-eating Naruto with a finger pointed at him. And don't think I've forgotten about you, stranger. Why, stranger? Ruby said. He's no stranger. Well, maybe to you guys, but Yang and I know him. Then who is he? Blake asked, finally finished with her wonderful breakfast. He's my husband. Huh? What? Congratulations, were the reactions of Blake, Weisss, and Nora respectively. The first two then looked at their team leader with shocked faces. Before the two could ask her their questions, a shifty ringing sound could be heard. You five better start getting prepped. It's 8 sharp, 1 hour until classes, he said, spurring Team rwby to go to their rooms, leaving Nora, who was still eating, and himself who just finished, in the kitchen. He then looked at the happily munching Valkyrie with an amused of an eyebrow. Want more pancakes? Yes please, !s. Weisss and Blake's eating some stranger's cooking? Well, some of you might say that they're too trustful for two people who are training to be monster killers. They aren't. They just trust Ruby and Yang, and the sisters trusted the stranger, and so did they. Stupid logic, I know, but it actually happens more often than not in the real world. Meeting a friend's friend and becoming friends with the person is an example. Blake and Weisss' lack of reaction to Naruto's tails and horns? They noticed they just have some manners, and no one asks a stranger about a physical aspect. That's just rude. Like, hey, I just noticed that you have small breasts. Thought I'd let you know and ask why. See? Rude. Even more shitty content than usual? I said mental block up there because I've been having some troubles thinking and putting what I thought into words and writing those words. I have ADHD and schizophrenia. So yeah? It'll be explained down there, yeah. Just scroll downwards. 1. Try and guess who this person is. A clue is 1. The title summary. 2. I was gonna have Weisss say, maybe they're here to kill us? Or worse. Have us expelled? Somewhat like Hermione Granger. But then I thought, fuck her and her lines, then I remembered what Emma looked like. So yeah, Chapter 5. So hey, it's Naruto again. This is my second entry, and I'm not sure what to write about exactly. Oh yeah. Yang and Ruby are officially huntresses in training now. Or is it huntswomen? Anyway. They're teammates too. And believe it or not, Ruby's a team leader now. I'm kinda worried about her though. Being a leader's a stressful job with a lot of responsibilities. She'll have to What am I talking about? She'll do great. She did amazing yesterday, after all. Anyway, I just met their teammates this morning. Well, not really. I don't even know much aside from their names. But I'll get to that when they get back. Which is right about. We're back. A voice called out accompanied by knocking. Now, he said, walking out of his and Ruby's room to greet Team rwby. Hey guys. Yang, after returning his greeting, went towards the kitchen, while Weisss and Blake just stared at him. Ruby gave him a peck to the cheek and proceeded to plop down on the love seat, arms at her sides. Today was exhausting. She groaned out. Yeah? What happened? Naruto asked, heading towards the redhead, and proceeded to take her off of it before sitting down and placing her on his lap, letting her lean on him. Schlink. 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 Die. Death to you. Crescent rose shall be your end. Yeah. Murder that grim girl. Hush, Nora. We learned that Ruby's a little murder happy. Weisss said with a dull tone. She sighed before taking a seat on one of the couches, leaving Blake to lounge completely on the other. She then looked at Naruto and said, okay, we've established you're Ruby's husband this morning. But why are you here? I can't really leave her alone. Well, I can. I'd rather not, though. He said while taking off Ruby's boots for her. You're really tired, huh? He asked her softly, with her the only one hearing him. He received a hum in response. And why's that? Blake asked, not that she really cared, she just wanted to contribute to the conversation. Hello again, sweet and comfortable couch. It's complicated. I'm Naruto Rose Uzumaki, by the way. Ruby already told me your names, Blake Belladonna. Why Shni? He told then, having realized that he hasn't introduced himself this morning. What's so complicated about it? Yang said as she walked in, coming from the kitchen door with a mug of something. You and Ruby rebonded. That's all there's to it, right? I mean, I never did understood your godly shit dash, swear jar. Ruby interrupted, a little muffled what with her face in the crook of Naruto's neck. But I think that's it. This is good chocolate, by the way. Where'd you buy it? She asked, taking a sip from her mug. Girl, you insult me. I made that mice. Naruto was cut off by Weisss. Godly? I don't want to deal with the deranged and strange-looking faunus right now, so kindly leave. Weisss snarked. What? Don't look at her like that. She already has deal with one's coming for hind. She doesn't want to deal with another, this one apparently with a god complex. So quick to rebuff something you don't know. Why is that, Weisss Queen? Feeling a little inferior? Yang said in defense of her fellow blonde. She then looked at said blonde before saying, why don't you show him a miracle, bro? Naruto just shrugged, which jostled Ruby's head slightly, before snapping his fingers and conjured a four-sided mirror to appear above the coffee table, surprising everyone actually. I had to introduce Ruby to Mom and Dad anyway. Then, after a few moments, the mirrors rippled ever so slightly. After the ripples calmed down, an image of a blonde man, red-headed woman, and a tall white-haired man showed up. Hey Naruto. Can you hear me? The redhead asked. Yeah, Mom. I can hear ya. Naruto replied smiling, ignoring the gaping looks of Weisss and Blake, and motioned to Ruby. This is Ruby, my wife. Hello? It's nice to finally meet Naruto's parents. I'm Ruby. Ruby said with her head bowed slightly. Oh. She's adorable, you know? Right, Minato? The older woman asked the man beside her, getting a chuckle from him. Gahahaha. You definitely picked a looker, brat. And you're surrounded by cute girls too? Ha! It took years but you've finally act. The tall white-haired guffawed, before being smacked by the redhead. The blonde man only owned his face before looking at Naruto. So, a redhead too, huh? He chuckled at the girl's red face. He then looked at Ruby and said, I'm Minato, by the way. The red-headed woman is my wife, Kushina, and the man she's beating into the ground's Jiraiya, my and Naruto's former teacher. That buxom blonde over there is a Ruby's sister, Yang Xiaolong, Naruto said, with the aforementioned girl waving at the mirror screen. Hello? I've been waiting for Xiaolong to meet Ruby's parents-in-law. Get it? She asked, getting a chuckle from Minato and a groan from Ruby. Dang it, Yang. Ruby mumbled out. The one in black's Blake Belladonna, and the one in white's Weisss. Naruto said, motioning to the girls at the call of their names. Blake merely gave a wave, while Weisss was a little more vocal. It's a pleasure. Though this still doesn't prove your point, Yang. What point? Kushina asked, having just finished beating the old pervert into the ground. She then waved at them and said, also, hello again. Are all redheads so chirpy? Blake thought to herself, thinking about Ruby, Nora and Pyrrha. Then Adam's image popped in her head. Oh yeah, there's him. I guess it's just them. Naruto being a god. Yang stated bluntly. What? She wasn't really that good with words, and she'd rather not beat around the bush. Well, he is one, you know? I mean, look at his eyes and horns. Kushina said. What about those? Weisss asked with narrowed eyes and a raised eyebrow. Those are signs of divinity. Or at the very least, it is in our realm, Minato stated, before continuing. Besides, we wouldn't be talking right now if he wasn't one. And why's that? Blake asked. Wait, realm? 'Cause we're dead. Kushina said bluntly. She then had a big glowing smile and spoke. But then, Naruto's made into a god and all, so he can talk to us. My son is so awesome, you know? Noticing the shocked looks of black and white, Naruto proceeded to talk to his parents. So anyway, after introducing his parents and godfather, Naruto then introduced the tailed beasts who were just passing by, further sending Monochrome into shock. After getting over their shock, they immediately tried to apologize to Naruto. It's alright. I mean, I wouldn't believe myself either if I were in your shoes. Naruto said. He then remembered something. Oh yeah, he exclaimed, creating a seal-less clone who proceeded to go into the Rose Uzumaki room. What is it? Yang asked curiously. Gifts. Forgot to give them to you guys. Though, I only have specific things for Ruby and Yang. Only some random souvenirs for you too. Sorry, he said while playing with Ruby's hair. The clone returned with a large scroll of parchment, and handed it to the original before disappearing from existence. It's fine, Lord Uzumaki. Again, I'm so sorry for not believing you earlier. Weisss said with her standing up, in front of Naruto, and bowing her head. Blake was emulating her actions and words, which seemed to amuse Yang. The look on their faces. Yang thought to herself, before registering what the blonde said, so what's my souvenir? Naruto unsealed the scroll, revealing smaller, different-colored scrolls of parchment. He sifted through it before holding out a red scroll for Yang, which she took, and gave Blake and Weisss black and blue ones respectively. He gave Ruby a silver one before he spoke again. You two see that symbol in the center? He asked Blake and Weisss, getting a nod in response. Just activate your aura near it. And once everyone did, they were surprised at what they found. For Ruby, she had a lot of blueprints, a medium-sized pouch of strange-looking yet sweet-smelling objects, and a notebook with the initials TS on the front. Yang had a red pulsating crystal in the same pouch of something, a violet orb and the same pouch were what Weisss was given. Lastly, Blake had a cloak and the same pouch. All of them, bar Ruby, also had a piece of paper. None of them paid those any attention, however. What's this? Blake asked curiously, holding the cloak. I've never seen anything like this before, she stated, rubbing the dark side against her face. So soft, so silky. Of course you haven't. I'd be surprised if you have. Naruto exclaimed. It's nice that you'd gift us with these and all, but what is this? And this pouch? What's in the pouch? She couldn't help but ask while holding the crystal in her right hand and the pouch in the other. The pouches contain something rare, something delicious, something I don't know the name of. But I can, however, say that those are safe to eat and are delicious. The crystal? Well, let's just say your temper's about to get even hotter, he said. Ruby then unfurled the blueprints and felt her eyes widen. No way are these even possible, she whispered. These look like Elysian soldier armor, only more advanced. They are. Saw one of those in action too. It was awesome, Naruto said. He stood up in front of Ruby, covering her in a blanket of tails. Now then, he said, garnering the others' attention. Why don't you guys go to sleep and test out your gifts when it's Saturday? It's pretty late, and you guys still have classes tomorrow. But. Ruby began, only to stop at the look Naruto directed towards her. Fine. She then stretched out her arms towards Naruto, which prompted him to cradle her in his tails. Good night, everyone. Yang looked at the Weisss and Blake and said, You guys want to figure out how these things work? Grim Castle. Is this everyone, girl? The mysterious figure said. God, I hope boss could just kill these guys. I'm getting tired of acting. A young raven-haired woman bowed her head along with 4 other people. Yes, my master. 1. You dare assume I am a male? The transformed clone said. Hee, the look on her face. Do you not see my lofty beauty? Yeah, you're real lofty, alright. One of the people behind Cinder, the silver-haired one, mumbled, which had him receive an elbow to the gut courtesy of the mint-haired girl besides him. HSS. The hell? Oh, of course I can, my mistress. I'm sorry for assuming you were a male. It's just, bah. Enough with your fumbling. Let us get on with this, she said, stepping down the throne, finally revealing herself. She had pale white skin, 3 whisker marks on each cheek, red slitted eyes, and black spiky hair that reaches down to her thighs. She was wearing a black cloak that reaches down to her feet, collars lined with fur. Her face so otherworldly beautiful that it caused blush to appear on everyone's face. Of course, letting out a minor illusion technique was also helping affect the others' minds. Heh, who'd have thought sneaking into those kunoichi classes would come useful, she thought. 2. As such beauty, Cinder whispered out with a blush adorning her cheeks. Menma then let out a pulse of her power, bringing everyone down to their knees. As such power. He looks like I'm what others would call a femme fatale. Yes, that's right. Kneel before me, peasants. You all are not worthy, and yet you're all seeing such beauty, she said, laughing haughtily. But I digress. As you may or may not know, dear cousin Salem met her end recently, and I'm here to take control. I, great mistress Menma Uzumaki, shall take the reins. She then sighed forlornly and spoke once more, but alas, there are obstacles in the way. She's kinda egotistical. Emerald, the mint-haired girl thought. But if Mistress Cinder is following her, then I would too. I wonder if she'll reward me if I'm good, she added with a mild blush, unnoticed by all except by Menma, cause, you know, she's a clone of a shinobi. What are the problems, mistress? Cinder asked. What a bootlicker. One of the others thought. This was an orange-haired one, Roman Torchwick, an infamous thief. Aside from your hideous clothing? My handsome and strong brother is here with us in remnant, she said in a sultry voice, causing blushes to appear once more. My handsome creator. 3. Cinder tried, and failed, to contain her blush. She then said, What are we to do to him? You. Do something to my great brother? Ha! Such hilarity. He cannot be trampled by anyone. Not in power, no. Which is why we are going through another route. Seduction, she said. Oh God. This is too easy. What? Cinder asked. Why not just threaten someone close to him? Or find his weakness? Are you questioning my methods, girl? Menma said with a flex of her powers. Man, Pervy Sage was right. I'm awesome in acting, and no, my mistress. Please forgive me for my impudence. Cinder bowed her head. I'll let your impertinence pass this one time, Fall. For now, we must talk about how to captivate my cousin's heart. She then noticed that the silver-haired teen was raising a hand. What is it, foul hairless monkey? My name's Mercury Black, he gritted out, and why are me and Roman still here? It's Roman and I, you uneducated whelp. Besides, I still need some bumbling idiots to cater to my every needs. Menma scoffed, before sitting down on her throne once more. Now, let us discuss our plan without any more distractions. Beacon Academy, Team RWBY's kitchen, early morning. Team RWBY, plus Naruto were currently sitting at the kitchen table, silently eating, with only the slight scraping of utensils making sound. Everyone except Naruto and Ruby were still a tad sluggish and drowsy looking, though Naruto noticed Yang and Weisss were more so than Blake. Hey Yang, Weisss. You two okay? He asked, causing the two to suddenly jolt slightly. He then took a sniff and noticed something weird. Sands and dragons? Where are those smells? Komi? You two messed with your gifts, didn't you? Yang and Weisss nodded tiredly. Blake did too. Blake too, huh? But I guess she's the lucky one out of the 3 of you. He added, making Weisss and Yang groan and Blake to smile lightly. It's a rather simple yet very useful gift. Thanks again, Lord Uzumaki. Blake said with a slight bow of the head. By the moment she looked up, everyone else were almost finished eating. It's not a problem, he said with a smile and squinted eyes, not noticing Blake's faint flushing. Anyway, I'm finished. Gonna take a shower. He stood up, heading towards his room. Wait for me. I'm almost finished, Ruby said, shoving the rest of her food into her mouth. She then put her dish in the sink and made her way towards their room, leaving 3 wide-eyed girls. W8. The hell? Chapter 6. Hey diary, it's me, Ruby. I'm sorry we lost you. See, Naruto misplaced you and we tried to find you for weeks. I'll apologize to it if I want to. I don't care if it won't answer BA dash. Stop bothering me, Yang. You're distracting me. I really need to stop writing what I'm saying. Anyway, back to the topic. So, it's been 2 weeks since we last saw you. Sorry again, and a lot's happened. It's like everything's a blur and all that jazz. I mean, just this last week, a bunch of unique people visited from Haven Academy. Which is kinda strange, unless they're transfers. Actually, that's still weird cause, it's practically the middle of the first quarter. Anyway, yeah, 4 new girls arrived at Beacon just within the last week and they were really weird. I mean, they seemed normal at first, but the black-haired girl with whiskers like Naruto was giving me scary looks. It's not like I did anything to her. I think maybe? I'm not sure, but back to the topic. Team CRDL, that's read as Cardinal by the way, finally got their punishment for being bullies and racists. Yang can't even look at them and not laugh. They thought someone cursed them though, but they're not far from the truth. Naruto did what he did while he was invisible, which makes me wonder. Didn't he said that he should be able to walk freely now? Really? Huh, that's pretty lost. Stop distracting me. I'm right in here. Thanks, I've been working on it. Anyway. My team can finally use our gifts properly, complement our skills with them, like Naruto said. I mean, we haven't mastered them yet, just use them with our semblance properly. We haven't used them outside our room though. We also met a second-year team, Team CFEY Coffee, and they're really nice. Coco's really strong and awesome, Velvet's kinda shy but she's nice. I don't know about Fox and Yatsuhashi, but Coco and Velvet said they're nice too, so there's that I guess. Oh yeah. My team and John's are going on a trip later this week. It was supposed to be only me and my husband though, but I convinced him to bring them along with us. This is going to be so fun. You guys ready? Ruby asked, standing in front of her team's room, facing Team JNPR who are all holding some baggage. My body's able, willing, and ready. So let's go already. Nora exclaimed, somewhat chirpy yet sensual, drawing blushes from the four people around her. Ooh. That rhymed. Why yeah, John coughed out, face still red, we're all set. But are you sure we could tag along? I mean, it's your team outing and all. It's okay, everyone already agreed to it. Sides, you're all packed, it'd be a waste of energy if you're gonna back down now, Ruby told him, looking towards his and his team's bags. Anyway, come on, Yang's probably getting impatient, she said, going inside her team's room motioning everyone to follow her inside. And follow her they did, though what they saw wasn't what they expected. Well, bar Nora of course. She was already lounging on one of the couches and flipping through channels. How's this possible? John said, all acing his tone. He looked around, taking in the vast difference it had with his team's room. He didn't get an answer however, as Yang's voice hollered from one of the corridors, come on, guys. Hurry up. There are sights waiting to be seen and places to go. Ooh. Something fun. Nora exclaimed from her shot on the couch, before dashing towards where Yang's voice came from. Pira, who was marveling at the gothic design of Team RWBY's room, let out a chuckle of amusement. Come on, John, Rin. Nora might break something if we leave her be, she said, walking towards the direction their orange-haired teammate went. John's response was to haul his baggage while Rin let out a tired sigh. The death of me. I just know it. He said, grabbing his and Nora's bags. Ruby and Team JNPR-the N were greeted by the sight of an impatient Yang, a humming Weisss, a reading Blake, and Nora swinging her arms, all standing in front of a massive door. I swear to Naruto, next time if anyone's late, we're not waiting for them, Yang said to her sister, before grabbing her luggage and made a motion to open the door. Come on, come on, come on, she said, going inside the room, prompting her teammates to do the same. John just looked at his more normal teammates with an inquiring eyebrow, getting shrugs for an answer. He then shrugged himself before entering, quickly followed by his teammates. What followed next were bright light, strange noises, and nausea. Terrible, horrible nausea. John's mind of sorts. Ever felt the feeling that no matter what you do, or what happens, you'll always be insignificant? Worthless? Always, and sometimes not even second best. Yeah, that's what John felt growing up. Look at how successful your sister is this, be more like her that. That's what he was subjected to nearly every day. That's the life of being the only boy, being pestered to improve themselves, always being bugged at how they should do things the right way, which, of course, would make the guys do the opposite things most of the time. But guess what? John listened. He listened, hanged on to every advice his parents would give him, which led him to his dream of being a huntsman. See, one day, his father told him of tales of unheard legends, but legends nonetheless, of how the men and women of the Arc family back then would bring glory through great adventures, wondrous tales, etc., etc. So he asked his father to train him, and when he was asked why, he answered this: "'Cause I want to continue our line of warriors." Though it was somewhat of a stupid answer, his father trained him nonetheless. Whenever his father was home he'd ask for help and advice, and when he wasn't, John would still practice. He'd do so until his knees would buckle and his limbs would become sore. He did so, just to come one step closer to his dream, and come closer he did. A couple of years later, a few weeks back, he stood on the grounds of Beacon, a prestigious academy famous for producing some of the greatest huntsmen and women ever to walk on Remnant. And you all know the rest. No? Recap then. He met some interesting people, got tossed into a forest, got put in a team, with him being the leader, made friends with the interesting people, had a few troubles with schoolwork here and there, shared a lot of laughs and him? I'm writing this as if John's dying? No. It's just. Never mind. Jay just keep reading, yeah? So anyway, John, once a little kid, is now a huntsman-to-be with a lot of potential. Who gained companionship only days after setting foot on Beacon, who's now closer to his dream of keeping the line of warriors alive in his family. And finally, the one who's currently in the midst of waking up groggily. John mumbled out sleepily, still slightly disoriented. Where? He yawned out, taking notice of his surroundings for the first time. A simple room was what he saw. Some cabinets and drawers here and there, a nightstand close to the bed he's laying on, a vanity mirror just across, and other knickknacks. Completely back to his senses, John stood up and walked towards one of the two doors, intent of finding his friends. Hell no, bathroom, he said to himself, heading towards the other door. This time, finding a hallway, he explored for a few moments before stumbling upon a staircase, of which where he heard taking. Nikolai, she's my daughter. An unknown male voice said. Daughter? What? Another voice asked, this time a female, a familiar one. Just through technicalities. I'll explain later. It seems like your friend's awake now, the stranger said, causing John to stiffen slightly. Ruby, John was sure it's her, suddenly appeared in his field of vision, startling him slightly. Mother of God. Don't do that. Just slightly. You feel better now? Ruby asked John, preventing him from seeing the owner of the other voice. 'Cause you looked pretty pale a few hours ago. What? Hours ago? John asked, before spewing out a couple of questions. Wait, where are we? Why are we here? And who's that? He pointed at the strange ten-tailed, horned faunus. I'm Naruto Rose Uzumaki, her husband. Naruto said with an extended hands towards the other blonde, who wearily took it. After releasing John's hand, he then faced Ruby and told her, I'm gonna go get changed. Anything you want me to get for you? Nothing. Be quick though, K. And with that, Naruto began walking up the stairs, towards God's and Ruby's room, leaving his red-headed wife with John. Oh okay, that's your husband, John said, but you still haven't answered the what, where, and why. Ruby turned to John and answered, what happened is you passed out. Where we are is Naruto's pocket dimension. And what can come later, she finished, before turning around and started walking. Now come on, I'll show you around so you won't get lost later. Heaven knows Weisss will. Chew. I hope I didn't catch a cold or something. Weisss mumbled to herself while reading a book. Around her were Blake and Yang, who were both reading the same kind of book as the other, giggling at random and yet nearly at the same time, and the two were getting more red with each giggle. Pyrrha, who was admiring the strange-looking armaments hanging on the wall, with some resting on a shelf, and Rin and Nora were resting near a fireplace, with Nora's head on Ren's lap, while the young man was gently massaging his friend's scalp, earning a purr from the young woman. Each and every one wore what people would call casual clothes. Yang wore a black tank top and yellow knee-length shorts. Blake with some yellow baggy shirt and black pants. A black-colored hoodie and sweatpants were what Weisss wore. Pyrrha wore the same as Yang, though with the color scheme of yellow and red. And finally, Rin and Nora both wore dark green t-shirts and white shorts, though the shirt on Nora seemed a size or two too big. What was that? Yang asked distractedly, nose still buried in her book. Nothing. Weisss replied, before looking at Blake and Yang. Why is Yang reading a book? Blake, I can understand. But as far I know, Yang doesn't like reading. She thought. She also thought about asking Yang why the sudden interest in reading, before reining in her curiosity. None of my business. Silence then reigned inside the library, hampered only by the turning of pages, the flickering of fire, and the muffled giggles. Moments later, a soft knocking was heard. I'll get it, Pyrrha said, making her towards the door and opening it, showing Ruby and John. Ruby was wearing a yellow sweater and red knee-length shorts, while John's wearing his usual ensemble bar the makeshift armor attachments. Hey guys. John greeted, receiving murmurs and quiet responses. He then turned to Ruby, who was making her way to the bookshelves, and followed her. Hey Ruby, what are we doing here? We're bonding with our teams, Ruby said, now looking through the shelves. Which to read? She murmured to herself quietly. What was that? Jane asked, still standing comfortably near Ruby while staying at a respectable distance, unsure of what he should do. It's nothing, Ruby answered, still looking for a book. She then grabbed one and made a move towards where her sister and Blake were, but not before speaking to John. Why don't you pick yourself a book to read and relax? John, still a little awkward, only nodded slightly. Why yeah, that sounds like a good idea, he said before picking a random book and sitting down immediately, back landed against the bookshelf. Several minutes later, a light knocking was heard coming from the door, jolting everyone ever so slightly due to the sudden breakage of silence. Before anyone could open the door, however, it was already done so by the person on the other side, which is Naruto, who's wearing a plain crimson t-shirt and black baggy pants that apparently had a big enough hole that's able to fit 10 tails. Hey guys. Naruto greeted, moving towards where Ruby was, all the while getting responses. Upon reaching his wife, he sat down beside her and guided her head towards his lap, laying her down. What are you reading? He asked, whilst playing with her hair. HM? The notebook, Ruby answered, making him hum in return. Silence then pervaded the room once more. This time, nary a whisper was heard. Each and every one in their own state of calm. Hey, guys? Jaune suddenly voiced, gaining everyone's attention. Not that I'm complaining or anything, but can we go do something else? Jaune, apparently done with reading, asked him, still plopped down beside Blake. So what do you suggest we do? I don't know, Jaune trailed out, before being struck by an idea. How about telling stories? I don't have any. Anyone? Jaune asked, sitting up. I got one, Nora said, raising and waving her right hand, only for it to be put down by Rin. That was just a dream, Nora. Rin told her with a blank face. But it was a great dream. Nora whined. I have one. Naruto voiced from his position, gaining everyone's attention. It's about a princess who ran away from her land, trying to escape all her troubles, only for her responsibilities to catch up to her. As Naruto began to tell his tale, Ruby smiled faintly. This is nice. It's like we're one big family. Chapter 7. Some of you first years might be wondering as to why you're all instantly called here just after you all arrived from your week-long vacation, Glinda said to the students in front of her. She spun on her heel, her back facing the students, and spoke once more. Well, we are going to be here all day to evaluate your skills. Completely. The way she emphasized the word completely caused some students to murmur and whisper, some to look at her questionably, all of those from the first year. Of course, what do you get when you mix a loud class with a strict teacher? A lashing out, duh. Enough. Glinda shouted, accompanied by the whip of her riding crop, before collecting herself. As some of you have figured out, yes, you will be having an all-out spar. No holding back. No pulling your punches short. No stopping until someone wins. Or if I say so, does that mean we do anything to win? A student asked. Yes. You shall use every tool available to you. Exploit any advantages. Any skill you have yet to use it. As I've said before, this time, no holding back. She spun around, facing the students once more. Well, who would like to go first? A hand rose from the crowd of students, promoting Glinda to look at the owner of the limb, and would have sighed at the expected situation. Nevertheless, she complied very well. Team Ruby, come do. Actually, Professor Glinda, can I, take this on my own? Ruby requested unsurely, drawing the eyes of her classmates, who are now noticing her change in clothing. She was just wearing pants. Nothing weird about that, and the weird Faunus accompanying her team. Said Faunus only grinned and waved at them. Glinda would have protested if it weren't for the fact that Ruby was accompanied by the so-called god who was mentioned to her by Ajban, who also told her that they were wed. The god and Ruby, that is. And despite the fact that her headmaster told her that the god was reasonable, nice even, she was still skeptical, for she hadn't met him herself. Very well. Who would want to challenge Miss Rose? Surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, Team CRDL walked from their place towards the arena, all wearing a scowl in their face. And an extra accessory, they were also wearing that. We'll take on the witch. Carden snarled, hefting his mace from the ground and onto his hands, jade-colored butterfly wings fluttering behind him. His taunt was ignored, however, as the red-headed teen removed her cloak before she started fiddling with a device of some sort. And then, something happened. Something, or rather, somethings came flying towards Ruby Rose, of which Glinda would have intercepted, it weren't for the somewhat calm yet excited look on Ruby's face. One hit her outstretched hand, revealing it to be a plating of some sorts, before clanking and changing, slowly becoming a black and red metal wrist-length gauntlet, with a cross design on the palm. The same happened to her other hand, with it having the same design, both red on the top of the hands and fingertips, while black on the palms and fingers with a white streak running through the middle of the hands. The next pair of platings came, this time attaching itself onto Ruby's elbows. It extended to her wrists and upper arms. It was nearly completely red in color, with only the joints and a streak on each arm, black and white respectively, with the white streaks connecting to the ones in the gauntlets. The next ones connected to her legs, before it slowly encompassed her lower limbs, having a resemblance in design with the arms. A torso plating then came next, before it morphed to cover her neck, back, and abdomen. It bore the color red and white lines along it, with her personal emblem in the middle of her chest in black. Ruby then caught a piece before putting it on her head, revealing it to be a headgear with a visor. There stood Ruby Rose, body covered in metal the color of red, with white lines running across some parts, and black-colored joints. Only a part of her face and scalp were free of any attachment, her bodice covered in a sleek suit of armor. She then whistled, and her cloak suddenly attached itself to her neck. That's why she put it down neatly, Glinda thought, ignoring the whispers all around her. Were those magnets? Come here, sweetie. Ruby suddenly called out in a loving voice, before everyone witnessed something stranger. A small pale girl flew from the crowd, though she wasn't a human nor a faunus. She was a Gyning. Upon landing her eyes on the girl, it glowed with pride and joy. Skin paler than snow, bluish-silver eyes, crimson hair that falls down to her shoulders in the style of a flower, 3 whisker marks on each cheek, and a red and silver Gothic Lolita dress. The little girl looked to be a 6-year-old, though even then, she emanated an unearthly beauty, that chilling charm one would associate with a vampire. She looked so real, Glinda narrowed her eyes in suspicion. That's an advanced form of technology. How did Miss Rose obtain it? Yes, Mom? The little girl asked. Impossibly. Ruby's eyes glowed brighter. You're going to help Mommy play with those guys, sweetie. Ruby replied with a smile. Those butterfly men? The girl asked, receiving a nod and a smile from Ruby. And you might be wondering when that butterfly men thing happened, right? Well, please don't pull on my ears. A timid female voice said. Ha! Look at her, boys. Being all meek and such. I bet it's only an act to luring boys towards her. A brash voice resounded. I don't. The girl said demurely, which only caused her assailants to laugh at her and pull harder on her rabbit ears. I hate people like them. Naruto said from another table. He was currently invisible to everyone bar Team RWBY, who were accompanying him. They're scum, belittling people like that. No one commented on his words, though what they were seeing invoked different reactions from each of the girls. Yang clenched her fists and looked down. Weisss closed her eyes with furrowed brows. Blake looked like she was struggling from letting a snarl form on her face. And lastly, Ruby looked calmly furious. Before giving him a look that practically says, do as you will, Naruto's eyes caught this and widened slightly, before shining in sinful delight. Let's just say that Naruto loved irony, and that Team CRDL now knows the burden of being a faunus, not that they cared. What they only cared for was let's get this over with. Maybe if we beat her into the ground hard enough, we'll turn back from being this disgusting species. Turning back into a human. Many faunus supporters and faunus furrowed their brows in disdain, including Ruby. Come on, sweetie, let's show them why we don't like meanies. The girl nodded enthusiastically, before transforming into something familiar, yet not so at the same time. Instead of a large scythe, she formed two smaller ones from her arms and attached herself to Ruby's own, while her transforming legs attached to Ruby's shoulders, forming two guns. Her remaining body parts, her head, torso, and waist, attached to her mother's waist, forming a metallic battle skirt, and to her, Ruby's, body and limbs, forming additional armor. Was that girl her weapon? Glinda thought in surprise. Let's see if you can keep up, Ruby said before disappearing in a blitz of blades, metal, and rose petals, amongst the students. Was that? Ren asked, purposely letting his question hang. Awesome? Hell yeah it is. Nora voiced from her position. That was Ruby's side, yes. Weisss said, completely unfazed, as were her teammates. It's amazing, no? Very. Coco, a second-year student said, though how did she do that? And when? Where she found those ideas was thanks to that guy over there, Yan said, pointing to Naruto who was smiling cheekily while watching the one-sided fight. Every student near them looked at the young man with wide eyes, though they were ignored as Yan continued, it happened when we were on our vacation. How? Let's just say it involves a funny story. Knock knock knock. Ruby, open the door. You and Naruto have been in there for 3 days now. Go away, Yan. We're making a baby. Knock knock knock. Open the damn door. One with a few misunderstandings on my part. She added with a sheepish laugh. And it's over. Naruto voiced from his spot, causing everyone to look at the arena floor. And he was right, it was over. Quite in a splendid manner, in fact. There was Ruby Rose standing with her hands on her hips, Crescent Rose detaching herself from her mother and forming herself. And upon completion, she copied her mother's pose, though hers was done with her nose high in the air. Awesome. Nora whispered with wide, excited eyes. Does everyone in your team have a suit like that? John felt the need to ask. Oh, he was also sitting unnecessarily closer to Pyrrha. Is something happening between the two of them? Yan thought with a raised eyebrow, before focusing back to her sister. Their life, not mine, only Ruby. Everyone released a relieved breath at Blake's answer, failing to notice the twinkle in her eyes. Winner, Ruby Rose. Glinda announced, eliciting applaud from a couple of the students. Next combatant, make your way down. She hasn't finished because Yang leaped from her position and dropped next to Ruby, who Yang proceeded to high-five. Good job, sis. You too, little Rose. Thanks. Thank you, the mother and daughter chimed respectively, before making their way to Team RWBY's position. I bet Dad'll have an aneurysm when he hears about Crescent. Not sure about Mom, though, Yang muttered to herself before pointing to a random second-year team, making them comply, what with their pride in the line. Yang then faced Glinda and asked, it's a no-holding-back type of spar, right? Any skill can be used? Though afraid of the outcome, Glinda nonetheless answered, yes, that'd be correct, Miss Xiaolong. What are you gonna do? One of her opponents, a female, asked rhetorically, bore us into submission with your shitty puns? Her teammates laughed at that. Yang only smiled a feral smile, which is further pronounced by her suddenly sharp teeth, and the red scales growing on her cheeks, arms, and legs. I've been waiting to test this power on other people for Xiaolong. And with that she pounced. Go Auntie. Go Yang. Break a leg. Or 4. Crescent, Ruby, and Nora cheered on as the people around them chatted. Are those scales? Pyrrha asked in disbelief and with wide eyes, as she looked at the red, glinting skin of Yang through the screen that showed the combatants' aura levels, which also showed a close-up of the fighters. Dragon scales actually, Blake offhandedly said. She's gonna go overboard for the jab at the puns. Fire Dragon's iron fist. Just be thankful it's not us this time, Ruby said, earning nods from her teammates. She then suddenly shivered. Do you guys feel that? Naruto sighed with a hand running through his hair. Menma. Yes, dearest brother? The aforementioned girl who suddenly appeared at his side asked with adoration and love in her eyes. Behind her were her 3 teammates, Cinderfall, the woman with a burning passion, Emerald Sustrai, the pickpocketing gem of misdirection, and lastly, Neapolitan Tuscups, the colorful lady of silent mockery and illusions. With that they made Team Amethyst, or Team MTSC for short. Each of them wearing a beacon uniform. Stop pulsating your chakra. You're wasting it, Naruto said, looking at his sister with blank eyes before continuing, and don't glare at my wife. That's rude and mean. But Menma was about to complain, but Naruto interrupted her by flicking her forehead affectionately. Flustered by the sudden contact with her maker, she let out a dreamy, yes, brother, just behave, okay? Naruto told her, of which she nodded to with a dreamy smile. He then turned to pay attention back to the fight, with Yang. Is it hot in here, or is it just me? Yang asked, arms and hair blazing. She then cocked her fist back, before launching a fireball at her opponents. What's wrong? Why aren't ya firing back? She blocked off a slash with her arms, surprising her assailant, before suddenly gaining more scales and claws. Is that it? 'Cause if it is, then I'd better start dragging on this fight longer to keep it fun. Minutes later, Victor, Yang Xiaolong. Glinda's voice resonated. She fought while dishing out puns. Coco started, given they were horrible, but she's good. Please don't let her hear that. She'll get a swollen pride if she does. Ruby said. Yang's coming up. John said, rubbing his arm. These girls are monsters. He thought upon seeing the sorry states Yang's opponents were in, while remembering the previous match. I guess I can't let my partner have all the fun. Blake stood and walked towards the arena floor, carrying a small bundle of cloth in her arms. Ooh. What's that Blake was carrying? Is it a magic carpet? Nora asked with metaphorical stars in her eyes. Wait and found out. Weisss said, eager to see her teammates' performance. Down at the arena, third match of the day. Blake Belladonna of Team Ruby versus Team Tar, Glinda began, looking the combatants in the eyes, before whipping her riding crop. Begin. Everybody jumped backwards, Team Tar eyeing their opponent and the bundle she's carrying. Let's see if you can catch. Blake began, unfolding the cloth before putting it on her shoulders, disappearing as she did, a silent shadow. With Team rwby, JNPR, and CFVY, a mechanical suit, draconic powers, and an invisibility cloak, Nora muttered, before giggling madly, you're all like superheroes. Ooh. Maybe with my hammer, I could join. Then I could be Thunder Nora. Or better yet, Thora. The Lady of Lightning and Mistress of Pancakes. Bow down before the might of Manghild. So Weisss, what should we expect from you? Astron, blocking out his partner's ranting, eyes still glued to the stumbling and fumbling of Team Tar, looking as if they were headless chickens. All Weisss offered was a small smirk. Back with Blake. Blake's disembodied voice echoed throughout the arena. It seems that you can't catch a shadow. TCH, remove that cloak and say that to my face. One of them, a guy, shouted before promptly falling flat on his face. And the space where he stood at was now occupied by Blake, who was wearing her cloak inside out while holding a few very thin needles in between her fingers. A toxin that knocks out the recipient in a matter of seconds. Nothing more. She explained to the worried-looking professor. Seeing one of theirs knocked out, the three promptly dashed towards the black-haired beauty. One attempted to shoot Blake with her gun, the other made an attempt at stabbing her with his pike, while the last one tried to hit her with his staff. As the bullet neared Blake, she merely activated her semblance, and replaced herself with an ice clone, that of which shattered upon being shot, prompting the two would-be attackers to shield their eyes as instinct dictated. A chance, Blake thought, before replacing herself with a shadow clone to avoid another hail of bullets, appearing next to staff user and slashing at the still recovering person with her sword, Gamble Shroud. The staff user then collapsed, having used all his aura to shield himself from the assault earlier on. And then there were two, Blake muttered ominously, cloak fluttering and eyes glinting. Let's see who lasts longer. With that, she began her assault of silent steps and poisonous misdirections. She uses needles? Asked the bewildered Yatsuhashi, the gentle giant of Team CFVY. That takes quite the skill. He added appraisingly. She seems new to that form of combat though. So I'd assume that she's only learned it recently. So that begs that question as to who taught her. The seemingly blind, seemingly mute blade user of Team CFVY, Fox stated. That would be Lord Naruto. Weisss said, pointing to the red eyes, ten-tailed, horned blonde who was currently tickling the little Gainan's feet, making her giggle while Ruby was draping herself over Naruto while laughing quietly. How can she even feel she's being tickled? Most thought to themselves as they watched the trio play. Lord? Coco voiced out, before asking another question. Wait, what's his relationship with Team Ruby anyway? Weisss looked unsure whether to answer or not as she looked at the family of trio who was now joined by Yang, who was filming the little girl. Naruto, who heard the not-so-quiet conversation, gave Weisss a thumbs up. Seeing the gesture, Weisss calmly explained who that person was, what he is, and what his relationship Team rwby and JNPR is. Needless to say, they were either skeptical, nervous, or both up until the fourth battle. Blake Belladonna is the victor, Glinda announced. Glinda didn't even need to call down a student, knowing already who would take the stand as the Schnee heiress was already halfway to the platform. I wonder what she can do, she thought curiously. Weisss, meanwhile, was walking gracefully towards the arena floor, hands on the front of her skirt and a small tug upwards on her lips. Whether it was a smirk or a grin was debatable. I challenge Team JNPR. she declared softly. Said team only widened their eyes, before making their way towards the heiress. Once all of them were in the arena, the professor looked at both teams. Begin. Not a moment later, Team JNPR readied themselves, weapons drawn and semblances ready to activate. Their tense form only caused Weisss to smirk lightly, which spurred the others on. Jaune activated his semblance, his iron skin, before looking at Pyrrha and nodding. Pyrrha nodded back at the now running Jaune, before activating her own semblance, and used it on the running who now jumped Metal Blonde, and turned him into a sword and shield-wielding projectile. While that was happening, Ren and Nora were preparing their own combination attack. Ren took out his weapons, and started to fire electricity-infused dust bullets at Nora, who began to glow pink and cackle along with her lightning. Jaya haha. More. Give me more. Nora moaned, before turning to Weisss with a feral grin, and charged on ahead with Jaune. Mang howled and herself sparking pink sparks all the while. Ren and Pyrrha, having done their initial parts, moved closer to assist their teammates, guns blazing. Quite literally, only for Weisss to seemingly teleport to the other side, dodging all of the attacks aimed at her. A teleportation device? Pyrrha thought, changing her sword Accio into rifle mode and began firing at Weisss, with Ren and Nora doing the same. Jaune, who doesn't have any ranged weapon, made another attempt at charging towards Weisss, only for Weisss to dodge once more. That's not possible. Despite all her skill, Weisss' reflexes aren't fast enough. Then she trailed off, regrouping with her team. Guys, I think I know her trick, Jaune whispered to his team, who were all listening while keeping their eyes on the heiress, who was now slowly making her way towards them while swinging her rapier, Mertenaster, playfully. She's making the area around us slower. As Ren, Pyrrha, and Nora began to empty their clip on Weisss, Jaune dashed towards the Schnee, hoping to catch her off guard and hit her. Though before he did, Weisss disappeared from his view once more, leaving Team JNPR's attacks useless, though not completely. Were those footsteps? Not quite, Arc. But close enough. And there stood Weisss' Schnee in front of him, her blade at his throat, while his teammates were all on the ground. Yield, Arc. Yield, she said, pushing her rapier harder against Jaune's neck, enough for the pressure to be felt, but not enough to activate his aura shield. I yield. Jaune said, eyes still on Weisss' own blue. Wait, why are her eyes like that? He thought with wide eyes. He then asked his ass-written, if you weren't slowing down the time, then what did you do? Victor, Weisss' Schnee. Glinda's voice rung out. Something more extreme than that. With that, Weisss made to move towards the group of students, who all saw exactly what happened. That's the quickest match yet, Velvet commented while not so discreetly munching on some crackers. And the most cheat-wide power yet, Coco pouted besides her, before grabbing some crackers from Velvet. Hey, do those things have names or summon? Coco asked Naruto, who turned his head from Crescent to look at her, making her suddenly nervous. If it's okay to ask, that is, Lord Naruto. They do have names, except Ruby's suit. Naruto made to answer, only to be interrupted. Crimson Maiden. That's her name, Ruby said, patting her armor, which is now in the shape of a medium-sized box. Crimson Maiden. Yang's gift is called Fire Dragon Slaying Magic, Blake's cloak is called the Invisibility Cloak, and finally, Weisss' skill is called Forbidden Baylor View. Naruto continued, unperturbed by the sudden and somewhat rude intrusion. He suddenly kissed his wife on the cheek, who was still draped over his left shoulder. You're rude. Ruby only blushed and continued to play with her daughter, though she did nibbled on his cheek. How do you think your parents react when they see Crescent? Naruto asked, ignoring the ongoing spar in favor of playing with Crescent's small hands. Dad'll faint, probably. Though Mom will probably be just surprised, Ruby replied, taking one of her daughter's hand and placed it on her face, proceeding to motorboat it. Crescent only giggled and pulled her hands away from her parents, but not before poking their noses. Boop. Dad'll definitely faint, Young said, fiddling with her scroll, and they'll probably fly over here as soon as possible. Just sent Em a video of our newest family member. You shouldn't have done that, Blake said from her spot, reading a book, ignoring the ongoing match. She was currently wearing her cloak on inside out. Your parents would only get on Lord Naruto and Ruby's case. What Blake said made Young feel guilty and look at the trio, only to be taken aback at what she saw. There was Weisss' Schnee, the coldest, pun intended, person she knew, cooing at the little robot girl, who would have thought Weisss' weakness were cute things. Young thought. A ringing from her scroll derailed her train of thought. She answered it before bringing the device to her ears. Hello, Young speaking. Who's this? Guess who? A familiar jovial voice said. This is about the video, isn't it? Young responded to Summer Rose, someone who's practically her mother. HM. Now Summer paused. Now? What? Young urged on. Let me see my grandkid. Chapter 8. Papa? A little girl's voice called out. When's Mama coming home? The girl's father grimaced slightly, before kneeling in front of her and putting his hands on her small shoulders. Listen, honey, he started off softly. Your mom, she's busy doing what she needs to do, and you just gotta wait till she comes back, alright? But it's been so long now, and she promised she won't take long. And that we'd make cookies together. And the girl's voice trembled, before she started crying silently. I miss Mom. The man hugged, gently patting her back, whispering soothing words to her ears, his own tears pooling in his eyes. Don't worry, she's gonna be home soon. Alright, princess? Silence reigned between the two of them, dampened only by their soft sobbing, and the cut. A young and chipper female voice shouted, "That's a wrap!" As soon as she said those words, the father-daughter duo went up in smoke, along with the background of a dark living room, replacing it with lush greenery. "What do you think?" "I think my little princess has a talent in directing, that's what," a male voice answered. The man, Naruto Rose Uzumaki, then hummed thoughtfully, "Though, you gotta tune down the drama a bit, to make it more realistic." I guess the girl, Crescent Rose Uzumaki, pouted before looking at her father. "Hey Dad? Can we have pie later?" Maybe. "If you promise to help with the chores later again, then we'll make lemon pie," he said while patting her head. "I promise," Crescent said before dashing towards the lone door standing in the middle of the grassland, a grassland that's filled with different types of trees, shrubs, and flowers. "Lemon pie." Naruto only chuckled and followed her, remembering what Summer's reaction to Crescent was, several days ago. "My stars! She's adorable!" Summer squealed, before kicking something beneath her thigh. "Get up! Look at our grandbaby. She looks so freaking precious." Looking at her mother kick her dad, Ruby couldn't help but snort. "Told ya he'd faint," she said, causing Naruto to chortle, drawing attention to him. Of course, with all the commotion, Professor Glinda Goodwitch couldn't help but tell the pair off. "God or not, Miss Rose, while you are finished with your evaluation, that doesn't mean you and your companion could distract the class. So either turn that scroll off, or go outside." She finished with a whip of her riding crop, startling everyone including the ones in the arena, which, of course, caused the two opposing teams to falter. "Yes ma'am, sorry ma'am, / why yes ma'am," Ruby and Naruto said respectively, before leaving the area with Crescent in tow. Long story short, their talk was filled with squeals from Summer, happy words from Ruby and Naruto, childish responses from Crescent, and groaning from the still fainted Tai Yang. Naruto chuckled once more, drawing the attention of his daughter, who was waiting by the door, and prompted her to ask, "Why were you laughing?" He only shook his head with a smile, before ruffling her hair. "That is how Vale City is named as such." Bartholomew Oblek, or Dr. Oblek, as he preferred to be called, said to the class in front of him, before the ringing of a bell sounded off. "Also, you're all to do an essay about today's topic that has a minimum of 600 words. And it's due on Friday." Class dismissed. The students walked out, many grumbling and mumbling about the assignment being too much, one of them being a blonde bombshell. "Ugh, that's too much," Young moaned to her teammates and friends, Nora, Ruby, and John agreeing with her. Team rwby and JNPR were currently walking to their next subject together. "Not really," Weisss told Young, backhanding her stomach softly, eliciting a soft grunt from the blonde. "Besides, it could be worse." Aside from a few grumbling, no one said a word for the next few minutes, everyone lost in their thoughts. "Did I do my assignment? Something strange is happening with the white fang. I probably should investigate it. Maybe get a bowl of tuna ramen while I'm at it. Nora seems awfully quiet today and twitchy. I ought to be prepared, just in case. Must not. Twitch break fourth wall. I think I should buy some shampoo soon. Also some conditioner. Time, why are you so slow when I'm bored? Does torturing Ruby Rose Uzumaki make you happy?" And this continued on for most of the day for not only Team RWBY and JNPR, but also a couple other student and a few teachers. Team RWBY's room, living room area. "Hey Munchkin?" Naruto said, sitting on the couch, watching the television with his daughter on his lap. "What do you want for dinner?" Crescent hummed with puffed cheeks, before speaking. "Beef barbecue." "Yeah? But we just had beef yesterday," he said. "Don't you want, I dunno, pork or chicken?" "Nope. I want beef barbecue," she insisted. "Okay, fine." He relented. None of them spoke for the next couple of moments, too busy watching the television. Or at the very least, Crescent was. Naruto was silently gathering nature energy, before grinning ever so slightly. "Finally, nature's wounds are starting to heal. Why were you smiling?" "Nothing, Munchkin. Nothing." Cinderfall, a name synonymous to the words cunning, dangerous, lethal, and criminal mastermind, or at the very least, it used to be. Now, well, let's just say she has very short leash on her, which is connected to a shock collar, and those two things prevent her from being what she used to be. "I should have become a doctor like mother and father told me," Cinder thought a tad bitterly, halfway listening to the professor in front. "Then I wouldn't even be in this mess in the first place." And by this mess she meant sitting down with her team in a classroom, listening to some portly man toot his own horn. It's been 2 weeks or so since Salem was killed off, and someone who claimed to be her relative took her place as the new matriarch of Castle Grim, as the new queen called it, and Cinder's been feeling more fearful than ever. Why, you might ask? It's probably the fact that Mercury was charred to death with those demonic black flames by Menma Mistress, because he, apparently, annoyed her, and Roman still hasn't come out of his place. And she was standing in front of her new queen's room to give her report. Knock knock. I hope she's not in one of her more violent moods, Cinder thought to herself. Needless to say that she lived another day. Oh yeah, she also learned that the other members of Salem's faction were all dead now, because, according to Menma, that they were unsightly and better off dead. Though aside from the boring lectures, she's also currently in a situation. Mistress? Cinder voiced towards her. Well, Mistress. HM? Menma distractedly hummed, before facing her underling. What is it? Your hands on my thigh, Cinder said quietly, her cheeks turning red and her skin tingling. What with Menma squeezing and lightly dragging her fingers across Cinder's thigh. Oh? Menma responded, her actions undisturbed. Isn't that sexual harassment? One Emerald Sustrai thought to herself while watching the exchange between the two. Don't get her wrong, she wants to stop what's happening, but she knows she can't do anything. Neo's thought on this? Well, judging by the way her eyes are glinting and that amused smile on her face, it seems as though she's loving Cinder's current situation. As Cinder was about to resign herself to her fate, not that she's resisting much, Menma suddenly stopped what she's doing, and spoke to Cinder. Well then, I do apologize. It seems as though I was lost in my reverie. Seeing Cinder and Emerald's surprised look and Neo's raised eyebrow, she huffed, I plot and kill, not sexually harass people. Of course, this was the moment that Port decided to pay attention to his class. Miss Uzumaki, Miss Fall, do keep your voices down. You're disrupting my lesson, Port told Menma and Cinder, before continuing his story. As I was saying, there I was, surrounded by. Cinder silently groaned. If only I listened to Mom and Dad. Island of Patch Town outskirts. In one of the unexplored forests in the island of Patch, a loud thumping could be heard, accompanied by the swishing of swords, the clanging of metals, and the ringing of guns firing. I think you should get a haircut soon. A deep, rumbling voice said to his companion, grunting the last syllable as he threw a large ursa behind him. The figure was a large earthly golem, with lavender eyes, golden moss covering the top of his head, with brown moss covering his arms and his waist down to his feet. He also had two large edge-bladed tower shields stabbed beside him. He grabbed one of his shields and bashed a Beowulf, before speaking to his companion once more. That looks bothersome. Not really, no. Besides, I kinda like it, the golem's companion, notably a female, answered him. She was wearing a white cloak, black shirt laced with white trimmings, and a black battle shirt with white edges. Though the strange thing about her was that her shirt had 2 holes under each sleeve lined up, with arms coming out of them. All 6 arms were each holding short swords, with their hilts being pistols. She shot the 4 Beowulfs surrounding her all at once, before speaking once more. Don't you like it? I do, the golem grunted, stabbing a Beowulf in mid-lunge with his left while pounding the other at the last ursa. It's just, it looks uncomfortable, he muttered. The lady Summer Rose hummed, shooting the 3 remaining Beowulfs as the golem stabbed the ursa in the head. Those re the last ones, right? Yeah. Those re the last ones, the golem said, transforming mid-sentence into a blonde man named Tai Young Xiaolong. He turned to his 2 gigantic shields, and made them transform into 2 long staves, strapping them to his back. What are you gonna cook later? I dunno yet. Maybe some curry? Extra spicy? Machim. Yeah? Chapter 9. What are you doing here? Asked a woman with wild, raven-colored hair that reaches down to her but left knuckle resting on her hips. The woman was wearing a black long-sleeved shirt underneath a dark green vest, black pants, open-toed sandals with black, calf-length socks, with bandages wrapped around her forearms and legs, and a sheathed sword attached to her waist. Over her outfit was a blood-red, long-sleeved trench coat hanging over her shoulders with the kanji 6th Hokage etched on the back with purple flames at the bottom. The strange thing about the intimidating yet beautiful woman was her pair of mismatched eyes, one being red with 3 black commas surrounding the pupil, tails pointing outwards, and the other a purple-colored one with 3 concentric circles. This woman is none other than Sasuke Uchiha, the 6th Hokage, last Uchiha, Snake Sage, and one of the world's savior. Though there are also rumors that she's the world's other hero's lover, that she suspects a certain Cyclops spread. And probably just for the hell of it, too, though the sight before her begs to differ. In front of her were 3 people, 2 strangers and 1 friend. To be more precise, 1 girl, and 2 young adults, teenagers really, and it was quite easy to spot that the child was the daughter of the 2 people, what with her looking like a combination of the 2. Though that thought only made the last Uchiha stare at the little Gainad quite intensely. A god, a dictator, a Gainad child and a Grim Reaper are about to enter a village, Naruto thought idly, ignorant to the curious, and slightly intimidating look Sasuke was giving his daughter. I think there's a joke somewhere in there. Maybe not. That girl's too old, and I don't think Naruto would have had a child before the war, Sasuke thought with narrowed eyes, and her presence feels strange. As if she's there and yet she's not. Just like, she's staring at me? Why is she staring at me? Did I do something wrong? Crescent thought with wide eyes, panicking ever so slightly. What should I do? Dad, help me. Fortunately for the young Whirlpool Rose Whirlpool, if you want to get technical, her father unknowingly did just as she asked. Can I visit my old home from time to time? He asked, earning a blank look from the last Uchiha, before pouting at her. Fine, be that way. I wanted to introduce Crescent to her godmother, that's you, by the way, and show my old village to her and my wife. Though, me missing Leaf was also a reason. I'm a godmother? Sasuke muttered to herself, before realizing something. Wait, you're married? Why wasn't I invited to the wedding? She asked with an eyebrow raised, glancing momentarily at the mother-daughter duo, making them shift in their places, before looking back at the blonde. Would you've attended? Naruto asked with a challenging look. When he received no answer, he nodded triumphantly before speaking again. Thought so. Anyway, meet wife and daughter. Hello, Crescent. Nice to meet you, the littlest redhead said meekly, averting eye contact with the ravenet. It's nice to meet you. My name's Ruby, Ruby spoke, bowing her head slightly towards the raven-haired woman. Naruto's talked about you before. Strange names, Sasuke muttered, with the other occupants of the field hearing her, making the three puff their cheeks, though I could see the chemistry. But I digress. As you already know my name, I won't introduce myself anymore. Though I guess it's nice to meet you also. An awkward air suddenly encompassed them all, making the two redheads soft on their place. Naruto, tired of the silence, decided to break it himself. So what do you guys want to do? He asked his family, Sasuke included. Her being his stoic and annoying sister, left arm draped on Ruby's shoulders. Ruby just shrugged her shoulders noncommittally, though not strong enough to knock the draped arm off. I dunno, she said. Crescent mumbled, tugging at Naruto's arm, catching the attention of everyone present. She then pulled him down to her, his head leveled with hers, before whispering to his ears, I'm hungry. Naruto blinked before shooting the girl a grin. An early lunch it is, then. Beacon Academy Team RWBY's room. Blake Belladonna, Weisss Schnee and Yang Xiaolong. The 3/4 of Team RWBY. Part of an up-and-coming group of huntswomen, all in a team blessed by a god, 3, 4 if you're counting their currently absent leader, Ruby Rose, different prodigies in their respective arts. And finally, 3 busy people. Well, 2 busy ones. The other? Yang groaned from her spot on one of the sofas on board. Blake, who's currently sitting on the other sofa reading a book, quirked an eyebrow at the blonde, but didn't do anything else, while Weisss, who's scribbling at something at the coffee table, also ignored her. That didn't stop Yang from, well, bitching though, you're so bored. The sound of a pen dancing across a piece of paper answered her, prompting her to pout, before grinning ever so lightly. Hey Weisss. The aforementioned heiress continued on with her paperwork, ignoring her yellow-themed teammate, though if one were to look closely, they would see the almost invisible furrowing of her elegant brows. Hey Weisss. Scribble scribble asterisk. Hey Weisss. Scribble scribble asterisk. Hey way. Scribble scrib snap asterisk. What? Slurp slurp skeet skeet. And just like a movie director turning a book series into a live-action movie, Weisss broke character, you fucking attention whore. And thus began the chase between the princess and the dragoness, leaving a black cat in disguise to her thoughts. I know I'm supposed to do something today, but I can't seem to remember what. I just hope it isn't too important. The Hidden Leaf Village at Ramen Crescent's thoughts of sorts. Eyes wide as plates, Crescent Rose Uzumaki couldn't help but to simply marvel at the sheer multitude of difference between where she lived and where her father used to live in. Instead of pollution-inducing vehicles and absurdly advanced technology. Not that she has any say in that. What with her being the peak of technology herself, were carts and tall trees. Though, those weren't the only differences. Not that it's a problem, was her thought. Or, at the very least, something amounting to that, the thought, that is. It was, after all, quite refreshing. And then, she briefly remembered, her dad's going to introduce her to some of his friends today. Well, those who aren't busy anyway. That's what he said, at least. Oh dear, make her dad and mom, technically, she's going to have to talk to strangers. Not that she has anything against them, oh no. It's just that she inherited her mother's awkwardness, adorkableness, as Aunt John would say, and she's really not that good with new people. Or crowds, actually, though maybe it wouldn't be as bad as she's thinking. It's not like something's gonna happen, right? Right, hopefully so, cause she's kinda enjoying eating ramen with her family, godmother included, even though she's kinda scary. I'm not scary, Sasuke suddenly said, chopsticks midway towards her mouth. Her sudden yet quiet declaration made her companions look at her, with her looking right back. Yes you are, Naruto argued with a mouth full of ramen noodles, that's why you're still single. That earned him a smack to the legs from Ruby, who's sitting at his right. Rude. That's rude. And don't speak with your mouth full, though what she said was somewhat hypocritical, what with her own mouth also filled with noodles, with a few strands hanging from her mouth. Hypocrite, Naruto muttered with pouting lips. He turned to face her, witnessing her cheeky smile, before spotting the dangling strings of carbohydrates, and grinned cheekily right back at her. Ruby, wary of her husband's grin, suddenly felt her face flush as Naruto slurped the dangling noodles and promptly made his way to her lips and kissed her. Now, don't get her wrong, she's used to affectionate gestures such as hugging, cuddling, kissing, making out, even. It's just that they're currently in public with an audience, no less. An audience that has their daughter in it, and as such, the red dusting her cheeks spread down to her neck, and squirmed in her chair, though she made no move stop the kiss whatsoever. Mom! Dad! Stop that! Said an embarrassed Crescent, temporarily forgetting the fact that her godmother seemingly read her mind, which would cement her thoughts once she remembers when her embarrassment fades. Her godmother really is scary. I'm not scary, Sasuke muttered once more, seemingly ignorant to her friend practically making out with his wife, not that she has anything to say in that matter. They were, after all, married, and if one were to look very closely, they would see a pout formed on her face. She then turned to her goddaughter, and stared right at Crescent's eyes, but said nary a word. And so was the scene one Ichiraku stumbled upon when she returned to their table to check up them, a furiously blushing Crescent, a sulking, Reed pouting Sasuke, and Ruby and Naruto kissing each other without a care about their audience. Food's getting cold, Crescent grumbled out, cheeks still aflame with embarrassment. Realizing that her parents are still at it, she sighed and began eating once more. This is so embarrassing. Chapter 10. Hey diary, long time no see. Or is it long time no right no? Fine. Anyway, hey it's me again, Ruby. So, first thing first, Naruto's friends are really weird. Not Blake being outgoing weird, more like Nora not wanting to eat pancakes without a reason weird. They're that weird. Some more than others. Like that ankle lady? But they're very nice. Except that really weird girl who is following us nearly all the time, and she's also been giving me the stink eye most of the time we're in the same room. I think she hates me. Dunno why though. Naruto probably knows why she's like that, but he just said to me that Hinata, that's her name, is just plain weird. Though I know he's hiding something, but it's probably for the best that I don't know. For now at least. I'm gonna ask him about it later. Anyway, even though we were just there for 2 days and 1 night, it was a very nice visit. Could do without Naruto duking it out with Crescent's godmother Sasuke though. It was so loud, but it was still very cool. Also, Sasuke looks somewhat like Uncle Crow's sister, Raven. Just saying. So yeah. I think that's about it. And then one buxom blonde brawler named Yang Xiaolong moaned out as Blake Belladonna nibbled on her lips and squeezed her derriere. Not wanting to be idle, she had her right hand slide up and down her partner's back, memorizing all of her curves and contours, with the other going through the lustrous black mane of her poisonous flower. She then felt Blake separate from their gentle, yet passionate lip lock, making her give out a small whine of protest, before suddenly gasping for air because of the sudden attack on her neck. Then she, wanting to return the feeling of pleasure, slipped her hands underneath Blake's shorts and promptly seized the 2 mounds of flesh with her hands, making the brunette moan into her neck. Yang, wanting to further their activities, maneuvered her hands around and dared a finger to come closer to the Belladonna's nether regions. Right palm resting right above the cat faunus bush and middle finger running near the touch-sensitive nerve bundle. Yang earned an appreciative kneel, and began to insert a finger inside Blake's honeypot. After getting an appreciative moan, Yang began to drag her left hand across Blake's body as lightly as she can, eliciting a small shiver from her, before stopping at her partner's right beast and gave it a soft squeeze, and then re-engaged a kiss. Blake's mind, hazy as it was with the feelings of pleasure, produced a small suggestion to her, one which she decided to follow. So with that in mind, she then proceeded to snake a hand inside Yang's shorts, just as the blonde did minutes ago to her, before, without warning, inserting a finger inside the Xiaolong's anal cavity, making said blonde stop her actions and yelp in surprise. Too much? Blake breathed out tiredly, inserted finger being slowly removed, making the brawler moan once more. And no. Keep it eye. Whatever else that Yang was about to say was interrupted by the sudden birth of a black vortex, followed by her sisters and her extended family's sudden appearance. rwby. Oh my gosh! Crescent. Cover your eyes. Moments later. Really? In the living room? Ruby asked the 2 girls, who sat at the couch opposite to the one she and Naruto were occupying, Crescent having been sent to their room. Much to her confusion, breaking the silence that invaded the room. Why? I mean, you both have rooms. Yang started, only to falter when she realized she had no answer. I've got nothing. Me either, Blake intoned from her position, her head bowed with her cheeks reddened. Maybe the Jaune Naruto's sentence was decidedly cut short by the abrupt opening of the door, revealing one Schnee heiress and a bow-wearing ginger, both carrying a couple of bags. What's going on? Weisss asked after setting down the bags she's carrying, noticing the somewhat awkward tension surrounding the blonde bombshell and the cat. Wait, what? Blake. You're a faunus? Oh my, how lively you people are. The pale, freckled girl, then decided that it was apparently the best time to speak, which it really wasn't. Next day, late morning, Beacon Academy headmaster's office. Ring read **. We have a situation. A man's voice sounded off from a scroll. Situation? Last I checked, everything was fine. The call receiver, a man named Ashbin, responded, taking a moment to look away from the day's paperwork to look at Atlas famous, or infamous, if others were to be asked, General, and his fellow headmaster, James Ironwood. Perhaps I should have been clear. An impending threat will come upon Remnant in a few decades or so, General Ironwood clarified, lips creased into a frown, or rather, a few years after the threat of the Grim has completely vanished. An event you said that will be happening not too far from now. And with that threat gone, a war is very much inevitable. Yes, too. Ashbin finished the snow-themed general's hanging statement. He then took a moment to take hold of his ever-so-present mug hot cocoa to take sip, before speaking once more. That is very much true, if the Grim were to truly disappear. And apparently my speculations were proven wrong. You don't have to worry, my friend. Somewhat startled by Ashbin's completely confident tone, James' eyes fluttered to a blink, before narrowing ever so slightly. Why so? Well, Ashbin started, pausing momentarily to wet his lips. Why else, my fellow headmaster? Why worry about a problem that's never existed? Yang's thoughts of sorts. She was nervous, terribly so. She knew, oh fucking hell did she knew that she was in trouble. Deep shit. And it's all her fault, half of it, at least. Not that she isn't gonna take responsibility, no. Because she will. She'll even take her girlfriend's Blake's punishment for herself if they ever decided to, well, punish them. Though, thing was, they hadn't even talked about it yet, being busy and all. They didn't even had the chance to talk about it this morning because of Weisss confronting Blake about the latter's species, and the strange orange jet, who, surprisingly enough, isn't Nora, and her strange tendencies. Though, the early morning recess has already passed, and Rose's Uzumaki duo still hadn't approached the subject. Instead, Crescent and Ruby talked excitedly about Naruto's former home with Team JNPR, with the guy himself giving his part of the banter every few while. Well, John, Ren and Pirao were all listening. Nora? She just spent most of her time in a staring contest with the other orange jet, Penny Polandina. And even though she's thankful that they didn't mention her illicit activities, it still made her somewhat nervous. Guess she just has to wait it out. Lunch was next, after all. Andy then, she made this huge purple woman thing. It had wings, armor and weapons. Ruby exclaimed, hands spread wide in an exaggerated manner. She, her team, Naruto and Crescent, Penny Polandina and Team JNPR were all walking towards the cafeteria, with Ruby telling her experience in the hidden leaf to those around her. It was so cool. It wasn't that cool, Naruto mumbled. My tailed beast form is way cooler than Sasuke's Susanoo. Hey, you jealous? But Ruby teased him, poking him on the sides. Yours is better. I just hadn't seen Sasuke's before. Yeah. Yours is more cool than Godmother's, Crescent intoned from her spot on his shoulders, though hers has wings, she added with a mumble. Not that mumbling helped her any. I could also do wings, it's just dash. Are you guys seriously avoiding our talk? Yan interrupted whatever Naruto was gonna say, her tone decidedly angry and frustrated. Of course, what she said just earned her questioning looks, bar Naruto and Ruby, but left it at that. Though, Crescent's and Penny's were more of the childish curiosity sort than anything else. Before Yan could talk again, Ruby spoke up. Just do it in your rooms next time. Of course, that wasn't the answer Yan was expecting at all. That's it? She practically yelled, uncaring of the looks sent her group's way. Yup, that's it. Huh, maybe she shouldn't have overthunk it. Hours later, nighttime, Team rwby's dorm Rose's Uzumaki room. Between the mind-numbing history lessons from Professor Dr. Oblek, and the dangerous trek through the Emerald Forest with Professor Peach, Ruby couldn't help but feel that the day went by quickly as she lied down with her husband on their bed, with her on the left and him on the right, with their daughter wedged between them, both of them facing the little whirlpool Rose. Our daughter, she mused, right hand caressing her little daughter's head, with the corners of her lips twitching into a smile. Our beautiful, precious daughter. Even weeks after Crescent's birth, so to speak, Ruby still couldn't help but feel utter elation when holding her. She suspects Dash. No, rather, she knows that years, decades even after, she'd still feel the same joy whenever she looks at the little girl between her and her husband. Now there's a thought. Never in her life did she imagine being married at such a young age, much less be a mother, yet here she is. Before meeting her self-proclaimed knucklehead husband, all her thoughts were focused mainly on becoming a huntswoman, on her studies, and on her family. She never gave thought to boys much, never mind starting a family of her own. Now though, she couldn't even bear the thought of living without either of the people sleeping alongside her, and she would do it. Hey, her husband's hoarse and sleepy voice distracted her from her thoughts. Having trouble sleeping? No, she replied, her voice loud so he hear her, but quiet enough as to not wake the little girl between them. I'm fine. Just lost in thought. Yeah? What are you thinking about? Naruto asked once more, his voice a little less hoarse and a little more awake. Hey? Ruby softly intoned. He hummed, ignoring the fact that he didn't get an answer for his question. I love you, she whispered, right hand reaching his left, lips molded into a soft smile. I love you too, he gave her his own soft smile, intertwining their fingers together. And I love the two of you too. A somewhat squeaky voice half said, half shouted, startling the two at the sudden interjection that came from the space between them. See Crescent? Go back to sleep. Why are you still awake? Extra, what happened to Amber? Ever had a near-death experience? Had something important get stolen from you, get comatose, have your body slowly deteriorate, and then, just when things are looking a little more dreary, a little more hopeless, you get saved by some deity of all things? Not necessarily in that order of course, but still. So, ever experienced those? No? Well, Amber did, and it was stressful to say the least. After all, who wouldn't be stressed after all of those? Not Amber, though only saying that would be redundant. Anyway, after being healed of her injuries and having the stolen half of her power be replaced by a perfect, replacement, 3, she then spent day after that to properly train in using her fall maiden powers, something that she hasn't been able to do before, which was the cause of her defeat. Then, after getting a better grasp on her gift, she went to look for this deity that had healed her, because of the fact that she wanted to thank them, not to mention the fact that she also wanted to see them for herself. Now, when Professor Ashbin described this god as benevolent, giving, free-spirited, etc., she was sorta expecting some fellow with long white hair, a halo above their head, and 12 or so wings of pure white downy. When she met him through an appointment set up by Miss Goodwitch of all people, she certainly wasn't expecting clawed hands, pronounced canines, A pair of horns, weird eyes, whisker, nor 10 vulpine tails. Especially the tails. How is that even possible? Of course, facing some with such a feral-looking fellow, though some would say demonic, albeit a handsome one, she felt slightly panicked. Oh dear gods above and below, she thought at the time that her soul was to be the price in exchange for her revival. With all of Professor Ashbin's opinions and comments about the guy all but forgotten, her first thought then was to attack the guy, collateral damage be damned, and have him give her soul back to her. That idea was then stomped flat when the guy's attention turned to her, immediately smiling at her. Despite the somewhat intimidating smile, because of the pronounced canines, she approached him wearily. She then spent the next couple of minutes talking to him, or rather, asking him questions after questions, with him answering what he can truthfully. Unsurprisingly, one of her questions was why he saved her. He answered, "Why shouldn't I? I can help you, so I did. I know I can't save everyone, so I tried to save those who I can." Taken aback, she realized then and there that he was a good man. One with flaws, as he admitted himself. Then again, no one's perfect. Well, he's almost perfect. He was kind, selfless, brave, wise, and also very handsome. All things one would desire in a partner. Too bad he's already married. Chapter 11. Dear Diary. Hello, it's me, Ruby. It's been quite a while since I've written in this thing, 4 or so years I think. A lot of things have happened since we last wrote. I mean, I know it's only natural, but still, I just turned 23 yesterday, and Naruto's turned 25 a couple of days ago. He gave me a beautiful rose pendant, and Crescent gave me a bouquet of flowers, thoughtful girl that she is. For the past few years, the three of us have been traveling around Remnant, and sometimes the elemental nations, seeing the sights and all that business. Though, we decided we'd settle down a couple of days ago for the sake of settling down, and we just bought a plot of land and patch so that we'd be close to my parents. We're also settling down for the little guy and me, though Naruto doesn't know that. That little fact's gonna be a surprise for Naruto after we've settled in. Anyway, just last week we went to Menagerie for Yang and Blake's wedding. My whole family, Team rwby and JNPR were there. Even Menma and Cinder. Oh yeah. Fun fact, apparently, Menma's not a normal shadow clone. She not even one. She's, apparently, actually a pseudo-tailed beast of some sort. Like some of the powers, none of the invulnerability. So thank Maker she's not immortal. Anyway, back to topic. The two of them were suspiciously close during the whole ceremony. I think Cinder's a masochist or something. Then again, it's not my bizzin', Ma. Jackie's reading your diary. Again. A girl's voice called out. She had short, yellow hair, and purple eyes, looking very much like a certain blonde dragoness did back in her youth, with only the fact that she has 3 whisker marks on each cheek, differentiating her from her aunt. She was wearing a black tank top and red shorts. Was not. Angie's lying, retorted an identical voice. Her appearance, though, couldn't be any more different. While the other girl had blonde hair, she had silver hair, one she got from her father's vast gene pool. She also has silver eyes, though whether it was just coloration or like her mother's special eyes was still unknown. The only thing that would have people associate them with each other were their shared whisker marks. Well, that, and the fact that they always wear the same type of clothes. Anyway, back to 2 arguing children. No, I wasn't. You're the one who's lying. I am not. I am so. I am not. Girls, an eerie voice called out. Her tone, quiet as it was drowning the noise coming from the television from behind her. Didn't I say not to fight with each other? Yeah, MMHM, were the answers of the 2 little girls, their eyes glued to their shuffling feet. Now, Jackie. Give me that diary, she said, right hand stretched with the other resting on her hips. Here, the silverette grumbled, handing their mother the diary. The woman then eyed the 2 girls in front of her, before her eyes softened and a smile graced her lips. Why don't you 2 play outside for a while? Only for a while though. You're the best, Ma. One of the girls, Angie, said. Yeah. You're the best, Ma. The other, Jackie, exclaimed, before proceeding to run outside with her twin. HMHM, my cute little angels, the woman thought with a small smile. With her short, dark red hair, silver eyes, and pale skin, despite any and all attempts at tanning, one could easily identify this woman as none other than Ruby Rose Uzumaki. The now 35-years-old woman was wearing a blood-red, long-sleeved turtleneck, black jeans, and black socks, which she'd normally pair with black combat boots, with her old belt around her hips. Aside from the belt, the only other accessory from her previous outfit that she was still using was her black and red cape. There's also her, now completely weaponized Crimson Maiden suit, which is currently stashed in her and Naruto's room. Though, it wasn't only her clothes that changed, but also her looks. Ruby, throughout the years, went from 5 feet and 2 inches, to 5 feet and 9 inches, and her bust size increasing a cup or 2 because of pregnancy. Pregnancy. She now went through 2 of those, and is a happy mother to 3 more daughters. One a blue-eyed, red-haired 15-year-old, who'll be home later tonight, with the twins 8. Those were hard times, but she enjoyed every minute of it with her husband. And it looks like the stalemate between Fiori Rose Uzumaki and Thaya Arc continues. What a display of skills, folks. Looks like Wilha the television cut her thoughts, so she cut it off too. Not literally, of course. But still, another tie against Pyrrha and Jaune's daughter? She mused, setting down the remote and sitting down on a nearby chair, with a small smile from before getting bigger. Again? My oh my, such skilled little girls. She relaxed in her seat, eyes closed and arms crossed, and simply enjoyed the very rare peace and quiet outside the house. Hey, betcha can't do this, Jackie, or rather, Jacqueline Rose Uzumaki, told her twin, before performing a handstand. Ha! Betcha I can. The other, NG, or Evangeline Rose Uzumaki responded, copying what her technically younger sister did, before smiling proudly. Ha! Told ya I can. Before Jackie could retort, a hand suddenly grabbed them by the ankles, making them gasp in surprise, and lifted them off the ground, the two of them hanging limply. Is Dad inside? Their assailant asked, spinning them so that they could face them. The young woman, for they were definitely of the fairer sex, had straight long hair the color of red, with the ends curling outwards, giving it the appearance of a flower. She stood at 5 feet and 5 inches, has bluish silver eyes and pale skin, with whisker marks adorning her cheeks. She was wearing her family's color, black tank top, red jacket with burnt orange trim, red ankle-length pants, and yellow boots, with a short sword at either side of her hips. On each shoulder were her parents' symbols, while hers, a plain crescent moon with a circle surrounding it, was on her tank top in the color silver, right above where her heart would be. Her name's Crescent Rose Uzumaki, 20 years of age, daughter of a god, though some would say the god, and a huntswoman, goddaughter of a snake sage/former dictator, twin short sword expert, huntswoman, and finally, former gynae. See, when she was reaching her 10th year of age, she was approached by her parents. They said that her coming into existence wasn't much of a plan, which she already knew, and weren't truly expecting her level of emotions and awareness, weren't expecting her to be so human. Back then, the fact that they gave sentience to a weapon only made them proud. After a few years though, that pride was accompanied by another emotion. Guilt. Guilty in the fact that they know that she'll never truly experience what being a human is, no matter how lifelike she is, and the fact that they burdened her with practical immortality. So, in the same day, her father asked if she wanted to be a real human or not. Needless to say, she didn't decline the offer. Nuh, Pa's not home yet. Pa's still not home, the twins responded, both still hanging from their ankles. From their position, they noticed an orange-haired individual behind their 20-year-old sister, one who they're both familiar with. Hello, Miss Polendina. Hello, Miss Polendina. The twins greeted in sync, waving merrily at their guest from their hanging position. Salutations, progenies of Lord Naruto and Lady Ruby. It is nice to see you both once again, Penny greeted back enthusiastically, stepping out of Crescent's shadow. Literally, of course. She then turned her attention away from the twins and towards the garden. You have such a lovely garden. Thank you, Crescent replied through a wry smile. Her thoughts were along the lines of, you always say that, freeing her mind from distracting thoughts. She walked towards the front door and invited the orangeette in, though not before freeing the two little girls from her hold. Let's wait inside. Dad'll probably take a while. The two then went inside, leaving a younger pair outside. They were grinning toothy grins while eyeing a tree. Hey. Betcha can't climb that tree faster than me. Ha! Betcha I can. Later late evening. I'm home. A voice called out, sorry I'm late. Menma held Penny? What are you doing here? The speaker, upon walking into the living room, was revealed to be a 37-year-old Naruto Rose Uzumaki. 20 years after, his attire changed drastically. His former go-to cloak bodysuit combo was now replaced by a much simpler blood-red, long-sleeved t-shirt, and black pants, with his ever-present whisker marks, his tails swaying lazily behind him, his pair of horns gleaming proudly atop his head, and his ever-activated ocular bloodline. Aside from those 4 familiar traits, nearly everything else changed about him. His body, which was already defined ever since he was 16, lost what little remained of unneeded fat, his height which now grew up to 6 feet and 5 inches, and finally, his hair, which reached his buttocks when he was 17, was now cut short, reaching only down to his shoulders. Though it was still unkempt and kept its vibrant sunshine yellow color, needless to say, he attracts the eyes of teenage girls like a brothel attracts Jiraiya. Greetings, Lord Naruto. Penny started of, coming to a stand from her sitting position at the couch. It's very nice to see you. Yeah. It's nice to see you too, he replied back, left hand scratching at the side of his jaw, and eyes roaming the room. He spotted 3 more familiar faces, one being his wife for 20 years, and the 2 his daughters. Hey Dad, waved Crescent lazily at her father with a grin from her position in the couch, with the other girl, one Fiori Rose Uzumaki, who is currently wearing her grim hunting ensemble, red tank top, gray, sleeveless hoodie, and white pants, with a rifle halberd beside her, copying her actions. Hello, Papa. Ruby and Naruto never did knew where she got that accent from. Maybe it's from watching a movie? From a game? Who knows, right? Hey hun, Ruby greeted him with a small smile. She was currently seated at another couch all by herself, the twins upstairs, sleeping. After returning the 3's greetings, Naruto then took a seat beside Ruby, letting her rest her head on his lap, before turning his attention to the now seated Penny. Finally decided you want to be human? He asked, jokingly of course, expecting a refusal from the Gynid. Which, of course, meant her answer floored him somewhat. Yes, actually, she started out with her usual chirpy tone, before suddenly gaining a shy blush, if it's not much trouble, that is. Despite the unexpected answer, Naruto nonetheless smiled reassuringly at the ginger. No, it's no trouble at all. Though, what about your, position in the army? Understanding at what he's getting at, she merely blinked and smiled. She was, after all was said and done, technically the property of the Atlas army. A weapon, so to speak, which is exactly the reason as to why she refused his previous proposal in the first place, because she can't. Though, that was back then, General Schnee decided to dismiss me from the ranks. Though, her reasons were unclear. I don't even think they have a replacement for me. Nonetheless, I am very thankful for her actions, for I now have a chance to perform and experience human activities. Such as eating, sleeping, dreaming, and bathing, also masturbating. Which, from what I am told by friend Crescent, is very pleasurable. Glancing at his wide-eyed daughters, one who's looking at the eldest, while said eldest was blushing slightly, and sharing a look with his wife, Naruto wiped the surprised look on his face, and exchanged it for a happy grin. That's nice of Winter. I'm glad for you. Now, it's quite late, and even though the procedure won't last too long, I think it'd be better if you bunk with Crescent for the night, yeah? And she can teach you about anything you'd like to know, including masturbating? Penny asked, her happy, inquiring tone in contrast with Crescent's flushed yet dumbfounded expression. Yes, that too, Naruto confirmed, glancing at Crescent with amused eyes, with Ruby and Fiori doing the same. He then stood up, Ruby standing up with him, and walked out of the living room, beckoning Penny to follow. Come on. The sooner we start, the sooner we'll finish. Midnight. Hey diary, it's Naruto. Wow, it's been so long now since my last entry. A couple of years, I believe. 3 or so, I think. Anyway, I have so much to write about. It's been 4.5 years since Ruby's graduation, and Crescent, Ruby and I've been traveling ever since, visiting friends and the like every chance we get. We make sure we visit on special occasions though. Like, say, birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, etc. Speaking of, Nora and Ren, they got married just a year or so ago, with Nora taking up Ren's surname. Here I was thinking John and Pira'd be the ones who'd get married first. Anyway, the 3 of you. Maya. Jackie's reading your diary. Again. Guess who that is? Before Jacqueline could retort, scream back, really, a bright flash suddenly shone in their room. Again? Seriously, if you wanted a diary, you should have just asked, Princess. Papa. Evangeline enthusiastically greeted her father, tackling him with a hug. I don't want a diary, Jacqueline pouted, but nonetheless greeted Naruto with a hug as well. You two should be sleeping now. It's late, and everyone's already dozing off, Naruto admonished the 2 girls softly, returning their hug while looking pointedly at Jacqueline, before shifting his gaze to Evangeline, who was about to point her little fingers at her silverette twin. With childish reluctance, the twins released their hold on their father and climbed their shared bed, with Naruto tucking them in and kissing their forehead. Good night, girls. Love you too. Good night, Pa. Love you too. Good night, Pa. Love you too. Master bedroom. Ruby, who was currently sitting on the side of the bed, brushing her short red hair, felt the mattress shift under a familiar weight. Why that girl likes reading our diary, I'll never know. Setting down the brush on the bedside drawer, Ruby lied down aside her husband, her back against his chest. I think she just likes reading about our adventures. Despite not being able to see his face, Ruby knew he was currently wearing a questioning expression, but we tell her stories about those, and we didn't even write that much in that thing to begin with. He yelled. Don't yell at my ears, she admonished, pinching his thighs. Sorry, Naruto whispered apologetically. His eyes then widened slightly upon a realization. I didn't take the diary from Jackie. Let it be, Ruby waved off the problem, just get it tomorrow. A moment of silence then passed by the Uzumaki couple, with the two neither drowsy nor tired, only enjoying the serene quiet. Hey, hun? Ruby intoned suddenly, snuggling deeper into her husband. Yeah? Naruto asked, arms pleasantly tightening around his wife. I wanna have sex. Next day early morning kitchen area. It was a delightfully chilly morning, cold enough to be refreshing, but not much to be uncomfortable. The air was as fresh as it could be, and if one were to venture outside, they'd see the grass glistening with morning dew. It was at this time when Naruto Uzumaki could be seen humming by the stove, fixing breakfast for his family and guests, with his wife nursing a cup of milk at the table, with the both of them wearing small smile. Think they heard us last night? Ruby asked quietly through her drink. I don't think so, Naruto responded, flipping some pancakes on a pan, activated the seals, remember? Yes, there was a small passing of companionable silence, with the slight sizzling of the pan and Ruby's sipping being the only noises invading their ears, as two of them basked in the wonderful feeling of the morning after. Sex. In it wonderful? Hey diary, it's me, and I've something very important to write about. Ruby's graduation day. She's graduating in a few more weeks. I'm so happy for her. It's been 4 years since she entered Beacon Academy, and she's improved much since then. Everyone did, actually. It's also been 4 years since we met, and were married, just celebrated our anniversary a few weeks ago, actually. Wow, 4 years. It feels like it was only yesterday when we met. Just wow, I feel so damn lucky to be married to such a wonderful woman, you know? She's sweet, caring, beautiful, understanding, and above all, kind. Ruby, I know you're reading this, and I know that you'll probably tease future me about, but I'm still gonna write it. You think that my smiles are nice, but I think yours are beautifully magnificent. You say that my laughter sounds lively, but I say yours are angelic and pure. You speak of how lucky you are by being married to a god, but I think it should be I who's speaking of how lucky I am for being married to you, a goddess in every meaning of the word. So, thank you for loving me, and for giving me the chance to love you, your so-called godly companion. I will love you always. P.S. I know I should have written that on an actual piece of paper, not in a diary, but bear with me, yeah? A squeal of a little girl could be heard resonating inside a room, followed by the muffled sound of fists hitting a pillow. That's so romantic. Maya. Pia. Jackie's reading your diary. Again. Was not. Kitchen. I guess peace and quiet's too much to ask for, Naruto mumbled, now frying his 12th pancake. You know you love us, Ruby stated, an amused smile plastered on her face. Yeah. I do, actually, he responded with his own smile, before noticing 2 sets of footsteps coming nearer. Morning, Crescent, Penny. Sleep well? Yeah, replied the half-asleep Crescent, before taking a seat at the table. Yes, I did, responded Penny through a yawn, thank you for asking. As chatter began to slowly fill the room, Naruto couldn't help but let out a smile of contentment. Yeah, he did know that he loved each and every people in this house, rather the people in my life. Especially the woman in my life. Sure, there were ups and downs in their marriage, bumps along the road and whatnot, and sure they sometimes argue over the littlest things, but he wouldn't ever trade her for anything else. Or anyone else in his life, actually. They are, after all, his precious people, and he's quite content with what he's got. Especially with him being a silver-eyed woman's godly companion. What if Godlike Naruto and his daughter and Ruby? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.